Yeah, buddies, it's the Bennington Show. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
And I am Ron Bennington. It is a Wednesday?
It is a Wednesday.
Okay. Boy, it's crazy. Chuck Berry started us off today. Club Nitty Gritty. Time for everybody to guess who picked it. Ron Bennington or Gail Bennington? Joey Jojo.
Gail Bennington.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're a Chuck Berry fan?
I've been wrong all week, and I'm going the opposite of what I think.
You're doing a George Costanza day. You're overthinking it. Chris Stanley.
I'm going to go contrarian to Joe. I'm going to say Ron Bennington.
Okay, so now it's up to Vito. Vito, by the way, the group has never, the majority has never picked correctly.
No.
I'm going with Ron Bennington.
Now, if you listened to our own Gail Bennington last night on the Best Show, you will know that this song came up. This is a Gail Bennington choice.
Oh, guys, come on. Good job, Joe.
Thanks, Gail.
Now, were you listening last night?
I fell asleep, no.
That's non-supportive. Non-supportive. Did you have a good time on the Best Show?
I had such a good time on the Best Show, and for anyone who missed it, it's up now, so you can check it out on the thebestshow.net.
What was the big topic last night?
The big topic was phoning it in.
That's our staff. That's our staff.
Phoning it in.
That is definitely our staff phoned it in. Well, they phoned it in this morning. And I had never heard that song till now. It's fantastic.
It's so good, right?
Yeah, I don't know. If someone would have said, hey, there's Chuck Berry songs you haven't heard, I'm like, what, are you crazy?
No, I've heard them all.
Yeah, if I'm here on my all-time favorite, My Ding-a-ling. My Ding-a-ling. Because I think he's thinking about his penis.
Mm-hmm. Subtle, isn't it?
I don't know if I would say subtle, but it works. It's done perfectly. But, phoning it in is definitely... Now, Joe, why would you be asleep at 9 o'clock?
I usually fall asleep around 9:30 most days.
You're such an infant.
I actually believe that's true because I have found that he will respond to emails really early in the morning, but if I send something past 9, I don't hear back, but then I wake up to like a 6:30 a.m. response. So he is an early riser.
What time's Charlie have to carry you up the steps?
Shh, don't wake him.
9:25.
Oh, sweet dear. Look at the little angel.
How was Tom Sharpling last night? Was he in a good mood, or was he in the mood that he sounded like on the air?
He was in a good mood. He was in a good mood.
Yeah. I was just worried one of the neighborhood kids had knocked a ball into his yard and they weren't getting it back.
He, the world can get him quite grumpy, but you will be surprised.
Well, I was going crazy with his callers. First of all, they weren't getting the premise of phoning it in, but I'm just constantly yelling, Elton John, Stevie Wonder.
I know. There was actually, I think, one or two callers who thought it was somebody who literally called something
I phoned in my parents once a week.
I'll tell you someone who's not, that was something that someone called in to say, I'll tell you somebody who's not phoning it in, and it's like somebody they hadn't heard from as a caller. I'm like, you have taken every aspect of this. And then you're
everything except for the way that it's meant. But, don't you think there are celebrities that we're saying we want you to phone it in from this point on? You've given us what we want. We don't want anything else.
Yeah, well, I would say that I feel that way about Elton John because I love early Elton John.
Everyone does. The planet did.
You gave me Madman Across the Water.
Right.
Free pass.
Right.
You are allowed to do...
I don't know. Should that get a lifetime free pass? I mean, because let's face it. He went like Tumbleweed Connection, Madman Across the Water. We know you can do it. We know you can plan. And then, then a lifetime of let me attempt to write a schmaltzy song that goes to number one. The same exact thing happened to Stevie Wonder,
Yeah.
We know you're the dude who fucking did it in the city. Why is there a ribbon in the sky constantly with you? He gave us 800 ribbons in the skies. And then Rod Stewart, please, don't even get me started.
Oh, no, don't get him started on Rod Stewart.
Rod Stewart and the Face is one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time. And then since then, it's disco into the standards.
When When did that big change happen for Rod Stewart? When the taste seemed to
I'm going
change?
to say
for him?
75, 70, about 75, 76. Same exact time for Mr. Elton John.
Yeah, I was going to say that's about when Elton started to go a
Maybe
little
even
bit.
Stevie Wonder. The 70s, like the 90s, first half, fucking amazing. Second half, I don't know where the sellouts come from.
That's very interesting. You're right. 70s is exactly like the 90s.
Yeah. Now, the
late
60s
90s,
is just the opposite. 60s, the first half kind of blew.
right. That's kind of 50s,
Not even 50s, because 50s, the end of the 50s is pretty rockabilly, it's pretty badass. But then by the time you get to the beginning of the 60s, it's like Bobby Rydell and that kind of shit.
right.
And
everything felt very like superficial and like.
But I'm going to give you another one that I think is phoning in, Robert Downey Jr.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that guy.
I'll put him in the same like De Niro boat where you're like, how many of these are you going to make that I'm just going to still treat you like you have
When's the last
perfect
time?
body of work?
Yeah, when's the last time that he's made anything besides an Iron Man or a Sherlock Holmes? He did one, I think it was called The Judge in there. It was like fucking sleepwalking. I just started doing this during the movie. Now, 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 now. And it was like, shh. I go, no, try to figure out the clue that I'm giving you. This is my way of booing. Now, 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 now. Now, 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 now.
I wish that would.
Well, hold on. Let's see how quickly the staff jumped on that. Oh, didn't even move. Didn't even slightly move.
I would like that to replace booing, or at least incorporate some more things. Like,
If you know someone is sleepwalking.
yeah.
Now, now. We'll just be sitting in the Tonight Show audience. Now, now. We're going to find out if it's a real egg or a hard-boiled egg that we slap on our heads.
I'm getting sleepwalkered out there.
Well, the thing about that song, too, is that song can only be played in the summer. There's no other time.
Yeah, that's not a winter's tale. You can't listen to that around the tree.
No, even if you tried to, the police will come and arrest everybody. No, 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 no. Eagles fan says the app's at least 6 minutes behind. Can't call because I'm living in the past. Well, Chris brought that up at the meeting with Don yesterday. Oh, no, he didn't.
No, I did not.
He didn't. You just freeze up when you're with Don. And you get surly and you lean to your left.
Make sure you hit go live, because I forget to do that sometimes when I check in on the app.
Santo and Johnny, Joe, if you ever want to fucking follow along with the song. You guys are really on top of the world, though. Russ in Nebraska.
Yeah, I believe that song that Gail had picked was first done by Ray Charles, wasn't it? The Mess Around?
No, that was not called Mess Around. That was a completely different song.
It has a similar sound,
It does.
but it's not.
And they basically probably came out around the same time, but that is not Mess Around.
And there are a lot of songs of that time period where they're like, hey, we've got this one song. It's a hit. Let's do something really similar. And for some reason, that wasn't weird or see.
Well, some of those songs just only became hits in certain parts of the country. It's like you didn't have a lot of those songs weren't national hits.
Right. I love the idea of a local hit. It's
I love it too.
A local favorite.
Yeah, me too. There would be nothing but local hits as far as I'm concerned. You know? Like, it's got to be raining on you before you hear Nirvana. That's my fucking feeling about it.
This is just something we listen to here.
Yeah.
I think you guys will like it when you're here on your visit.
Andy in Atlanta. Andy.
Yeah, I was going to say Robert Downey Jr.'s last great movie was Wonder Boys with Michael Douglas, and that was just a little while ago, and then I looked it up, and it's 2000, so there's 16
That's 16 years since that.
That's a long time.
It's a lot of shit.
Well, the thing about him is sobriety made him way more box office conscious than he ever was before. Now he's just like, give me money. That's my new addiction.
Do you think that that was something he always wanted? Or do you think once you have a taste of that kind of level of, that kind of income coming in, you change your lifestyle based on that? And you're like, oh, okay, I could just keep doing this. That's another thing. If you have that opportunity to continue, I'm sure you're telling yourself, look, these offers aren't going to be forever. Might as well take these.
Right. Very
now.
few people get to be actual movie stars. But then I heard this thing that, all right, so they're doing the Avengers in Atlanta, right? Mm-hmm. And he rents a house there. He's going to take the fam out. And they brought all their furniture in from L.A. so that they could feel the same in their new house, right? And, here's Dan. Dan in Nevada. Dan, how are you, buddy?
How you guys doing?
Yeah.
I'm good. Hey, I was listening to you guys playing that music, and she was saying how they all kind of sound the same. Wasn't the Wrecking Crew like the bands that were playing for most of those artists back in the day?
Well, for that part of the country, no. Chuck Berry never played with the Wrecking Crew. Neither did Ray Charles. Plus, the Wrecking Crew wasn't writing or arranging and producing. They were the players for that, and they added their own sound and their own licks. But
but for the most part, they were like hired guns. They were like, we know this person, come in, do this really well,
read
and they come
music,
out.
Move through.
So a lot of times it wasn't so. They weren't writing the music or. Yeah, like you said, maybe there would be something a little creative because they would add something to it, but then they would get no credit for it. They would just kind of move on.
But, the Wrecking Crew, and then you had the Motown players and Muscle Shoals, and it was just true of the times, and probably true now. If you look around, probably Dr. Luke works with the same people, whoever that is.
Yeah.
And I mean, whoever Dr. Luke is. I just know that he's a rapist. Speaking of which, Bill Cosby going to court. It's going to happen, and I'm going to do everything I can do to get on the jury.
Oh my God.
Because that's going to be one hilarious trial. I mean, if they put him on the stand and he starts to talk about him and his brother sharing a room, forget about it. Just forget about it. That stuff is great. Every
day in court, he has to start with like 10 minutes. Like he has to do 10 minutes before.
He can't do 10. That's how much, that's how comfortable he is. 10, he's not even warmed up. He'll go 10 minutes before he drops his first punchline.
Will this be a very public trial, you think? You think this is going to go where everyone's following it?
I don't know if they let every trial on TV. I don't know how they pick what goes on TV. The stuff yesterday that came out about your last trial, Casey Anthony, where she had to pay her lawyer with sex during the trial.
And look, is this proven to be fact? No. But I've always known that Jose Baez was a creep. I mean, he is a real creep.
You could be on TMZ when you start to say stuff like that. This is how much of a creep he is. How could you get a hard-on with a baby killer?
I don't know.
Like, wouldn't you just think of the baby dying at some point?
Yeah, I would imagine. And he knew what was going on. He knew everything.
Well, they said that he told the guy, hey, here's where the same guy who said that he came in and caught her naked and saying, Jose saying, you owe me more blowjobs. Also, he said, hey, you got to go out and find that body. This is where she parked it. I want you to find it before somebody else runs across it.
Oh my God.
You're just like a little fucking freaked out from that.
Jose Baez is the worst.
Yeah, but she's easily like the hottest criminal. She's a very attractive
I don't
criminal.
know what that's based on, because turn around and look at that picture right there.
Yeah.
There is no way anyone would call her hot anywhere.
Yeah, you just find her hot because she killed her own child.
I don't find that attractive.
But seriously, there's no way if she's in a movie, a TV show, or a magazine that you say that she's hot.
Now look,
It's just not true.
You know me, I don't like to body shame, but I'm only just pointing this out just to prove a point. She's got a strange hairline and she's got these elfish ears. I think that if she walked into this room, you wouldn't look twice at her. You're just
He's just repeating what other people said on the internet.
She's attractive. She's an attractive woman.
Technically, no way would anyone say she's attractive. She's a plain Jane.
Yeah.
You know?
She's not hideous.
Right.
But you wouldn't say, oh, you know that hot girl you would not think that. She's just
You would never
a woman.
see her, like, say, go on Jimmy Fallon and everybody be like, whoa.
And
you know, it just doesn't happen that way.
And she really played up the plain Jane as the trial went on, which was really funny. It's like the longer it went, like the hair got like stringier and she got like mousier and like she was just like, I'm not even attractive. Like then she wasn't even playing into that at all.
Yeah, she got her. She even had a trap come down on her when she was taking cheese out of it.
Yeah. I would not say that she is the most attractive criminal.
Who's hotter? Jodi Arias? No way.
Why are we comparing that way? Why are we sitting around? Attractive criminals is not something that even comes up. It doesn't happen that way. It's like when people say Ted Bundy's attractive. And you're like, for a serial killer? But he would never get a fucking Marlboro ad. I mean, this guy would never book a decent session for himself.
The only one I would even consider, and this would be if you would include war crimes. Okay. A young Joseph Stalin was very attractive.
Let's take a look at that.
Very attractive.
Because as soon as you said Joseph, I thought you were going Mengele. And I was like, well, the Mengele brothers are pretty attractive.
Wow.
It's all about hair.
Yeah. He's got great hair. He has a really, really nice eyebrows. And he has a cool
almost
style.
Looks Italian, right?
He does. He has an Italian look about him. He looks like a young Italian hipster.
All right. I thought that you were kidding when you said Joey Stalin, a good-looking guy. Now, see if you can get Mengele just next to him.
Right.
I want to see if maybe I was just caught up in the intellect and charisma.
Here's Mengele.
Oh, boy.
Oh, no.
Can't load a picture.
That's right. Just stop it. Joe in PA. Joe.
Ronnie B, what's going on?
Hey, what's up?
Yo, I think you guys are overlooking a real big fact here. I think Lizzie Borden was a hot piece of ass.
No. What did Lizzie Borden ever do with that axe? They never said.
Well, she gave her father 40 whacks.
What happened when she had seen what she had done?
She gave her mother 41.
Yeah.
Now look at who he said is attractive.
I mean, for the day. You have to remember.
I can't imagine.
The day.
I'm never going to be able to figure out the taste of the day.
No, you never found Joe Mengele?
This is young Joe Mengele.
I mean, you could see.
Okay.
You know what I mean? He had a madman type look about him.
He did, actually. Yeah. But, you know, he doesn't look like a free spirit the way Joseph Stalin does.
With his brother. The Mengele brothers, for a while they were producing David Letterman, and then they had a short stint in radio, and now they're back to TV. Now, I'll tell you this, though, that fucking Joe Stalin, he had a little bit of a crazy look, though. I mean, he's crazy-eyed fuck.
Yeah, like he's got a certain bad boy look about him where you're like, he ain't
But not
too
just
big.
bad boy, but, you know, that you might come in and catch him fucking a cat. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what's going down there. It's the Bennington Show on a Wednesday. We just found out a Wednesday. And, last night, I think a lot of heat got going off. There was another kind of mini riot at a Donald Trump rally where I guess it's Hispanic people were showing up. Hispanics and hipsters,
Sure.
you know, much like the best neighborhoods in East LA. They were throwing some rocks at the cops and stuff like that. And you just have the feeling that we're looking at one wacky summer coming our way.
Yeah.
But August is going to be fucking crazy.
And then whenever the hotter it gets, you get a crowd together. That
Sure.
same crowd would be a lot more chill if this happened in the fall, in the winter. Things are a little cooler.
Most riots are in the summer. Most riots take place, August. Cops worry about August for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, this is going to be the heat of the summer. Tensions are going to be high.
It's 68 all over again. Barack Obama's back from Vietnam. Or no, is he still in Vietnam?
It
He's still
looks like he's still in
That
Vietnam.
could be, you know what?
That's all good.
He could be at Yale. Because that's exactly what Yale looks like now. I was downtown the other day and there was a lot of hot Asian girls that were really falling into the hipster lifestyle.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they do it well.
Yeah, they do it up.
They do it very well. But
Well,
yeah,
I wish Joey Jojo would start dating an Asian girl. Not your thing?
Maybe someday. I've never dated, quote unquote, an Asian girl in the past.
What do you quote unquote?
I've
You gotta
never
put something in between the quotes.
I've never seen for more than a date or two with an Asian woman.
You slept with an Asian woman, is
Yes.
what you're saying. But you've
Shemale?
never.
I don't know.
Chris, what name did you slur?
Ladyboy.
That's what they're called, ladyboys?
They're called ladyboys in Thailand.
In Thailand, not here. Everybody, don't think.
This person wrote this to me. Why does Ron, #Bennington, put up with Chris Stanley? He clearly doesn't care to be producer of the Bennington show. Gail Ann, can you explain? Well, Gail knows this story, but Chris saved my life in Calcutta one time when I was stabbed.
Yeah.
He rushed me off to the hospital or I would have bled to death.
Now, who stabbed you?
He did. There was a price on my head back then. What I love about that story is that he's telling kids that.
Yeah.
By the way, I heard you say on Sharpling's Best Show last night, he's out there chopping it up.
Yeah.
Did you do that on purpose,
Yeah.
or you just think of that as a way of
No, I did it on purpose.
putting a brick through the other guy's windshield?
It's my favorite way to describe anything. Taking it out, chopping it up.
Put a brick through the other guy's windshield. It's funny as shit.
And just live a little.
Your dad doesn't want you to see me. Here's what I want you to tell him.
Oh, this is dog's blood.
Oh no, that's dog's blood. If you were a little kid and someone took you into a dog fight, you'd fucking have nightmares forever. Piece up on the iBank today. Will Kevin Hart walk away from stand-up at the height of his success? He's saying after the last tour, I can't do no bigger than that. I'm done.
So he's going to continue to act, but he's going to
continue to make number one movies, number one comedies. But Will saying he's thinking, not that he will never do, spots or sets again, but he's never going to do another tour.
like a big, exhausting tour.
I just made $1 billion.
Right?
No, I'm done tour. Now, Kevin Hart is funny in the way is if you ask everybody, is he funny? Is he a funny stand-up? Everyone's like, yeah, of course. But no one can ever, there's never a Kevin Hart joke that someone remembers. If you said, tell me a George Carlin joke,
Yeah.
tell me a Louis C.K. joke, sometimes you'd even hear the same one from people, but they're known for certain lines. Where Kevin tells a story that is funny because Kevin is telling it.
Right. And he's very reactionary, so a lot of
Right.
his humor comes from his facial expressions or the way he reacts to the story he's just told you.
But he's not going to have what, set up, punchline, hey, enjoy that little piece of work.
Is he the most well-paid stand-up comedian right now?
Well, I don't know if he makes more money per person than anyone else.
Yeah.
But he just did an arena tour where he ended with a football stadium. He played basketball arenas, and then the last show was a football stadium. So, yeah, I don't think anyone grossed more money than him last year.
The craziest thing was when I went to see Creed the previews beforehand. No, the movie.
Too bad. With arms wide open.
I mean, believe me, I was very disappointed when the movie started. But yeah, in the previews beforehand, there were, I believe, 3 trailers for movies with him in it. And 2 of them were back to back. And I had actually thought it was one long trailer until I realized, like, man, this is a huge cast. And then I'm like, oh, he's doing 2 massive, like, summer movies.
Well, you also have to remember you saw Creed in Philadelphia.
I did.
And that is Kevin's town.
Mm-hmm.
He is Creed there.
People were dying laughing at the trailers. Like, falling out of their chairs, like, throwing their arms up, like, loving the trailer for just, like, 2 minutes of...
Well, in the trailer, he had a job that if you have a wedding, you pay him to be your best man. I don't know how a plot like that. I've never met anyone who said, I don't have one friend and I'm getting married.
The groom needed him.
I mean, somebody's got a brother.
Wasn't that also another movie, too? I feel like there was another one like that.
Not Hitch. That's another Philadelphia, another
Philly zone.
Yeah, black, happy, everybody loves in Philadelphia. Philadelphia really is the city of brotherly love.
It really is.
If brotherly is another way to refer to black superstars. Hitch. You're the only fucking person who would bring up Hitch. That also had Kevin James in it. Yeah. He was awkward. Hitch, I think Hitch taught you how to date, right?
Yeah,
how to be a, and I'm going to say this correctly, I hope, playa.
That's playa with an A. That's exactly how it's said. Kevin Hart's either doing that or he's a cop. He seems like he's a cop in a lot of movies as well.
I thought he was the brother-in-law.
No, he's the brother-in-law.
Oh, I thought he was a cop.
Yeah.
No.
Also.
So he's doing like a ride-along.
Oh, yeah.
It's literally called ride-along. And you get the whole fucking premise is, can you believe Kevin Hart is in a cop car?
And then 5 times in the trailer, he says, like, the brothers-in-law, because get it, like, they're law.
That's why I thought that they were both cops.
In-law.
Because they're both in law. They're brothers-in-law.
But why would it be called ride-along? And why would we all be laughing?
You don't ride along at your own job.
Yeah.
I thought it was an out-of-town cop coming to hang out with another cop brother.
That's not called a ride-along.
Okay.
And also, this is a way more bizarre premise. It's just a cop from another town visits his brother cop
and then
for a ride-along.
Chris, you stopped smoking. Why are you still coughing?
I don't know.
You know that cold hasn't really 100% left anyone.
No.
It's like 91%, but it hasn't left.
Last night, just from talking all day, I think I just started to get the cough back, and it was the same kind of sick cough. It wasn't just like you have a tickle in your throat. This is weeks now.
I know. It's happened to me like once every 3 days. I'm like, is the cough back?
No.
I think the cough is back.
What's happening to us?
We're all coughing.
Richard.
Oh, man, I fucked up my shades.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
Well,
the
good.
screw
Just
came
as
out?
I'm taking a long weekend.
Let me see. Is it missing a screw?
No, it's fucking just... It's life, that's all. I go out of my way not to buy expensive sunglasses because I destroy.
I know, I do the same.
I won't buy expensive sunglasses or expensive readers because I've had them and I know what I do to them.
But I've done it too. All my sunglasses are between $5 and $15. $15 is my cap for the most amount that I will allow myself to spend on sunglasses because I know that they will be gone in 3 weeks.
And then, like, you see a pair of $200 sunglasses, you put them on, you're like, this is fucking great. But instead of buying it, why don't I just get the 15, throw $100 out the window, and save myself some money that I won't be spending this week? I could literally start crying right now.
Please don't.
I'm going to.
Don't cry.
I'm going to cry like they killed Bobby Kennedy.
Please don't, because I think you could do the tighten up on the screw there, and you won't have it so loose. You just need to get one of those.
I can't even get somebody to play sleepwalk after fucking giving the hint. Right? Look, they both started to act like they were going back to it, to attempt. God, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Is Vito the smart one?
I think he might be.
Jesus.
And
He's
by the way-
definitely the most clever.
I was listening to the best show with Tom Sharpley. His staff was just moving. It was like a flock of birds, a school of fish.
It's true. Yeah.
It's amazing how they move.
And they have just a great rapport and just a silent understanding.
Yeah, it's a silent.
He
No,
looks and they know what to do.
they don't jump in and just start yelling out good stuff, dumb stuff, and then coughing on the air. By the way, this was the weirdest thing about his show. So the singer from, I'm going to say, is a Giant Dog.
A giant dog, yeah. Or
A
just
Giant Dog, which is my new favorite band. So the singer from Giant Dog calls in, and then one of his producers is in a band called They Live.
Yes.
Right? So he goes, now, if you're looking us up, be careful. There's another band called They Live, and they're out, right? And then the girl from Giant Dog said, hey, there's another band called Giant Dog, too. So be careful. So both of these bands, there could be, on the other side of the country, another Giant Dog playing with They Live at the same time. And no one thought that this was insane.
On Earth, too.
Yes. Except for there, They Live would be closing the show.
But that was great. The track he played by a Giant Dog was really
Terrific.
good.
And then they're playing where? In Cake Shop?
Yeah, the Cake Shop, I believe, tomorrow night.
All right, I'm going.
Yeah, let's all go.
I'm going to go and I'm going to introduce them to everybody. Hey, New York. Are you ready for a big dog?
I meet a big giant. They're just off stage looking at you like.
I come out with a leash. You know where this came from, don't you?
The giant dog?
I just had this around a giant dog.
Yes!
Now, wait a minute. Look at the size of this dog shit that was left here. This did not come from a small dog. It did not come from an average-sized dog. This shit is from a giant dog.
Yes!
They just hear him start those up.
They're just like glaring at him. What is this?
I just want everyone to know, none of us shit up there on that stage. That is some kind of prankster shit that was brought here by the MC.
Oh my god.
Bow, 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 down. Giant dog.
Yeah!
Who let the dogs out?
You did!
Just fucking being as me.
He's ruining our show.
MC work is never appreciated enough.
He isn't. I mean, just hearing you do that, it makes me realize you got to give 150% when it comes to the MC spot.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not doing some giant dog improv like that, you're not doing the band justice.
No. No, I feel like you really gotta just fucking tear the roof off of it, you know?
It's for a giant dog.
I like anybody before they bring the band out, like before they say the name of the band, also goes and says each name of each person who's out there. Welcome to the stage, if you will. Pete Townsend, Roger Dalton. Yeah. Go through the whole fucking thing.
It's just like the MC just want as much mic time as possible.
Yeah. Like,
he does 20 minutes of warm up.
Right. And a lot of times, like when you MC, they're like, "Here, use this mic. Don't touch the singer's mic." Like they don't want you there at all. Like they want all the plugs from the radio station that gets there, and then they're like, "There's a guy here who says he's supposed to bring the band out." And then they'll say stuff sometimes like, "Look, why don't you go out and just say the band will be up in 5 minutes?" And you're just like, because that's a fucking ridiculous spot to be in. That's not a place I see myself. I want to be the guy who yells out "giant dog." I want that to be it.
I was with you a few times, and you did that in Daytona when it was the Crow time, because we were like, there was a lot of rock shows. Yeah. I feel like there was like some heavy rock show. Like, there was all different kinds.
Yeah, there was all different kinds. But you and your friends would be there, and I'd have to bring the band out.
Yeah.
I can't even think of who some of the...
Well, I remember a Godsmack one once.
There I was bringing out Godsmack, and I had to stand on their pentagram while I was evil. Yeah.
This is a place of evil.
It's evil. Oh, no. Welcome to the All Ages Show.
Oh my God!
But they had also on the stage just those lit things like in a head shop. You know what I mean? Incense is just burning.
Yeah, there was just like little pots of incense all over the stage.
I'm like, I was thinking that's not even good for your throat when you're singing.
It's drying you out.
Here's Patrick. Patrick in Austin. What's up?
Hey guys, what's going on?
Hey man.
Hey, heard y'all talking about a giant dog. I was actually their drummer the first year that they were active, and one of my really good friends, John, the first few shows we played up and down Red River in Austin, would come out and do a blood-curdling scream and scream at giant dogs. So you're not too far off there.
Dude, why'd you leave before the goddamn train left the track?
We had creative differences. They were all from Spring, a little north of Houston, and I'm from San Antonio. And they had a buddy who had just moved back to Austin, who had gone to high school with them. So they were. It was a better fit with their friend from home.
So the creative difference was their buddy showed up.
Yeah, and they wanted a different kind of drummer. But it was awesome.
Stayed in time
for a year. And, yeah, it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah. Well, dude, I'm sure there's another band for you, man.
Yeah. Been trying to find something, but yeah, that's crazy. I just heard you talking about them.
I feel like I'm talking to Pete Best right now. All right, man.
I was like, they're not. All right, yeah, thank y'all.
Okay, take care, Patrick. That was, close to stardom. I mean, he was there for the salad days.
I thought that he was out of the band because he broke his arm jumping over a parking meter.
See, that can happen. And the next thing you know, up in Erie, PA, things change pretty quick. You got to be pretty fast.
Steubenville?
Steubenville? No. Whoever said that had no class. Jimmy. That was my favorite part, where everyone decides he's the dick. First of all, he's not fucking engaged to anybody. And for somebody to put up that would piss me off, too.
Yeah, I mean, that would be... Look, Jimmy actually cared about the music.
He cared about the music, and he cared about that elderly woman who had a hit back in the early 60s.
Yeah.
And he was good friends with Mr. Downtown.
Mr. Downtown.
By the way, he almost pulled a giant dog when he's putting the shades on. Hey, everybody. Yeah. Here's a band rising to the top. Mr. Downtown just emceed for some of the show. That's a pro. That is a fucking pro. I didn't see Hard Rock Johnny was over there. Yanni.
Bennington's. That is one of my favorite things about when we do a show here is watching. No, we want a cold intro. We don't want someone we don't really know introducing us. So have them go out, just say, coming up shortly, everybody. It's like what's the big fucking deal? Who cares?
I want the fucking heat of the band.
Yeah.
I want to be there for the best part of any show when the crowd is so fucking happy that the band is walking out. And if you're emceeing, you just linger in that heat. For a minute or so. You're literally giving 20,000 people exactly what they want.
It was we did a show here with Kenny Chesney like years ago before his first retirement, and our CEO was supposed to go out and just do the cold intro, and all of a sudden I'm standing next to Kenny Chesney, and our CEO's out there screaming, "Ladies ladies and gentlemen, everyone knows that he's so famous. And Kenny looks at me and he goes, who is that? I'm like, it's our CEO. And he's like, all right, I guess I'm going on. Like, he wanted the cold intro, and our CEO was totally bummed. It was great. He's like, all right, he's got caught in the moment. I mean, I guess
The high-pitched scream.
I'm fucking freaking out. I was so excited. But literally, the only time life feels that good is like when you are the guy bringing the keg into the party.
Yeah!
You guys like beer?
Hell yeah!
What happened to Army Man? It went into that thing. You're like the CEO from the Hard Rock. Motherfuckers! We're gonna blow your fucking faces!
Get prepared to be fucked. What? What is that?
Your faces are going to be fucked right here! Oh, fuck! I'm having a heart attack! This fucking bed is so great!
He's just in his suit, sweating like crazy.
Yeah. I don't want to bring up the person's name because they work here at Sirius XM. But there was a big rock concert that was done in the 80s called Live 8, right? And Led Zeppelin had got back together. And so on TV, this VJ at the time said, Led Zeppelin is coming to the stage. And by the way, they're doing Stairway. And everyone's just like, fuck. We wanted to be surprised.
Oh my God. By the way,
everyone's just like, God damn it.
Who would say that? That's never been done.
Here's the whole set list, everybody.
It basically was that. But it's the funniest fucking gig in history is being the MC for one of those type of things.
Now it just seems so much fun. I want to do it.
Yeah. I like to do it this way. Ladies and gentlemen, John Norman Howard Speedway. Watch closely now! All right, Johnny. Thanks for the omelets today. They killed.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was good. I'm glad I was there. It was
I thought he was doing the omelets today.
I was told that we were going to wait until a morning show.
Yeah. What are you talking about? We could have been eating omelets right now.
I screwed up.
You know I love omelets.
Why would you say that, Chris?
I thought we wanted to do omelets for the morning.
What do you think, John? Johnny has fucking 18 eggs and that's it? Over there? This could have been the summer of omelets.
It's a brunch dish.
Yes, it's a brunch best served cold, my friend. This to me is the best story. So the Hulk Hogan deal against Gawker, which was a very expensive lawsuit for him. We found out that a billionaire who had once been outed by Gawker is the guy who put up the money for Hogan to sue Gawker for the sole purpose of a way to get them. This is like fucking Dallas, the TV show.
Yeah, that's crazy. That seems like it shouldn't be allowed.
I guess you don't care who pays for what. You know what I mean?
I know, but it still feels so like there's something really weird about it.
Weird or
Get
fucking,
'em.
yeah. Or fantastic soap opera about it. I told you 7 years ago I'd be back. And now I've done it with this Hogan thing. But they had outed him by saying, and there's no apparent reason that you would bring up that somebody was gay who was in Silicon Valley, would you?
No, I mean, they have, Gawker has one of their websites just does Silicon Valley gossip, but they have they did not like this guy. This Peter Thiel is the billionaire. And they outed him. They said he was gay when he did not come out.
Yeah, but it's one thing that you're saying, I don't like him for his business practices. But then to bring up his sexuality in public, it's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that seems like a low blow. Enough to make you want to pay for it.
Yes.
I'll get
later.
you. Just you wait.
and you just see when Hogan is fucking hugging you at the thing, and Gawker's just like, you're back, Kaiser Sose? Well, I don't know whether you saw this the other day, but Ozzy's daughter, multi-colored hair daughter, she outed the person that he was having the affair with, doxed her, as they say, gave out her phone number, address, and stuff like that. And then when people got mad at her for doxing someone, she said that it was almost senior abuse. That someone fucking her dad was senior abuse.
Oh my gosh.
My dad's semi-lucid.
Well, I've always thought that's a very weird thing that happens where people they put the anger on the other woman, the family goes and it's like, she's the problem, she's the reason. Yeah, she wasn't here, then our family would still be together. It's a very common thing. I don't understand why it happens that way.
Well, you just want to put the pain somewhere. You know, the family feels like a certain pain that things have changed. So why not blame the trollop? But she didn't have a deal with anyone. She didn't give vows to anybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very common thing. I know, women will get that way about, my boyfriend slept with this girl and she's like this. It was like,
well, I've known people who do stuff like, if she's with someone, I don't go, and I'm like, well, you're not with that. You don't even know the person. The fuck's this got to do with you?
I got a beer dumped on me at a party once.
I'm sure plenty of beers have been thrown at you.
No, but I mean, like a girl, I was seeing somebody who she was seeing previously.
Yeah.
It's not like I stole this person away. They had just previously been together.
Yeah.
I wasn't even friends with her. It's not even like, oh, you turned your back on me. And she dumped a beer on me as she passed behind me. And then it was like, I was like, oh my God, what just happened? And then like people were like, she did it. And she was running out of the party like an idiot. She just looked really childish.
You should just started sucking on the back of your shirt. Thanks for the free beer.
Thanks for the taste.
Now the thing is, one day that you can give Hulk Hogan money to sue her. Remember that beer you poured on my back and then ran out of the party?
Who's cold now?
And by the way, that woman turned out to be Eleanor Roosevelt. Wow. So that's the whole perfect thing. Dale in PA.
Hey, Ron. How's everybody doing?
Hey, man.
I just wondered, maybe, Ron, you even know the name of the comedian, but the story that I heard a long time ago, the comedian was warming up for Seals and Crofts, and everybody was late, of course, so he's backstage getting all tuned up. He comes out, finishes his bit, and then he introduces Seals and Crofts as Arts and Crafts.
Did he do it on purpose?
No, he just lost his train of thought.
Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, I'm so old. I brought him out as arts and farts and crafts.
I mean, Jesus Christ was my fucking camp counselor.
That was his last gig for Seals and Crofts.
So I don't know the comedian. Do you have his name?
No, I don't. It's just an old story that I can't help but remember.
All right, I'm gonna keep looking. I appreciate it, Dale.
Maybe somebody knows. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.
You too, buddy. Enjoy your summer. Everybody enjoy the summer.
Oh, yeah. Just have a great summer, everybody.
Who used to do that bit, have a summer? There was somebody who used to do a thing, we're having a summer.
Like having a good summer is just having a summer?
Yeah, having a summer. I think it was a comic.
It was. I think it was a song, too.
Yeah, like that became, like people were even buying his shirts and shit like that. Oh, it was the guy that Joe interviewed, right?
Howard Kremer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You interviewed him.
I interviewed him, yeah.
There was another interview that we were talking about you doing, too. Because you didn't do one for a long time. One thing about Joe is he can do a lot of stuff, but you have to give him the idea. He will never come in and say, I got an idea for something. But if you give it to him,
he'll do it well.
But you should your interviews. Who do we think you would be perfect? Oh, Bo Burnham.
Oh, great, yeah.
See,
Love
there
that
he
guy,
is.
yeah.
He doesn't get the idea, but if you give it to him, he's enthusiastic about it. And Vito has never done any interviews, right?
No, he hasn't.
He should. He's so personable.
Well, yeah, and he's always out in the clubs.
He's having a summer.
He's having a summer. So, did you talk to that guy about having a summer?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Now, what was the gimmick of that?
It's kind of his saying summer's his favorite season.
Yeah,
and he works throughout the year to vanquish winter so that everyone can have a summer.
But like, are you having?
I like to have a summer.
Are you having a summer? Like, if you're just having a good time, are you having a summer?
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah. You're making it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're drinking beer. You're having barbecue. You're having a summer.
Have a summer.
You're watching baseball. You're going to the beach. You're having a summer. Now, I saw this thing, Chris. You do not swim, right?
No, I do not.
And you live close to the Astoria pool,
Yes.
or something, right?
Yeah.
Now I saw this. It was in the Thrillist today. The pool that fucking Chris swims in, and maybe we could tweet this out. It's the biggest fucking pool I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it's huge.
Like, I was looking at it, I thought to myself, I've never even seen a water park that looked as big as this. Go to the Thrillist today, Chris. The Thrillist. Because I'm going to it's the Astoria Park pool. And I had never seen a fucking pool so big in my life.
I had no idea that they.
It's right out near the bridge. What bridge is that near?
That's the, I think it's the Hell's Gate Bridge.
It's tweeted. Hell's Gate is not the name of a bridge. It might have been at one time, but no one.
What's the
There's
Hell's
no official bridge called the Hell's Gate Bridge.
It's called the Hell's Gate Bridge in Queens.
The official name.
Yeah, the Hell's Gate Bridge. Hellgate Bridge. There it is.
Go to our Twitter page, Chris. I'm not looking at Hell's Gate. I'm looking at the fucking size of the pool.
It's a huge pool.
Oh
Keep
my
going
God.
down. That's not. There it is.
Oh my God, that looks like a blast.
It's gigantic.
I thought for some reason that it was like when you had mentioned it before, you made it sound like a shitty, like indoor, tiny public pool.
That's a lake.
That looks like so much fun.
It's fucking huge.
Hey, so you didn't hang out there as a kid?
And by the way, that's the Triborough Bridge.
Oh, that's Triborough, yeah.
So all this Hellgate that you kept focusing on, you fucking lunatic.
Hellgate's on the other side.
Who gives a shit?
Nobody's talking about Hellgate.
Fucking focus for 5 fucking seconds. You didn't know the picture because you refused to go to it, and instead started looking up Hellgate.
Now, did you go there as a kid?
Yeah, my parents would take me there as a kid. Yeah.
And
How
then
do
you
you
would
not
just
swim?
sit.
I was just you go on the shallow end.
You would just stand there?
Yeah, just hang around the water.
Matt in New York. Hey, Matt.
Hey, what's up, guys? Growing up as a metalhead on Long Island, I heard Eddie Trunk introduce people maybe 60 times in my life, and every single time we booed the shit out of him.
But here's the thing. That's the fucking problem with the metal guys. You know what I mean? They act like we could be hearing metal right now instead of this guy introduced them.
Also, the guy was completely monotone and, like, embarrassing himself. Like, like, come on, guys, I can't hear you. And we'd be like, fuck you.
Why? It's Eddie Trunk. Everyone, he's beloved.
He's so loved.
You know what? I think it's because he was a Bon Jovi fan since day one.
Who wouldn't be? If you met, he's from Jersey. Everybody from Jersey, their favorite thing in life are people and things from Jersey.
They do love Jersey.
Yeah.
They're very proud.
They love everything about Jersey. Now, Long Island hates everything about Jersey.
They just despise each other.
Yeah. It's just one of
There's
those
like
things.
a real sibling rivalry there. Now, Chris, I'm just curious, now that I know that you've had access to this your whole life.
Yeah.
Now I realize there's absolutely no reason that you didn't learn to swim because you had a beautiful pool near you.
It's large. I don't know how beautiful it is.
It looks nice. But I like, if you were there, if you were going there when you're having a summer every summer, why would you guys not say it's time to learn?
I put that on my parents as a child, as an adult.
Why don't you put it on yourself? I don't remember my fucking dad putting water wings on me, fucking taking me out in the water. I always laugh when someone blames something like that on their parents. You know what I mean? Like, oh, my dad never. Just fucking go do it.
You gotta learn, Chris.
You fucking put your head underwater. You keep kicking, and before you know it, you're like, I can swim underwater. Then you're not afraid to swim above water.
Yeah.
Once you're like, I can fucking hold my breath, then you learn how to swim. You could learn how to hold your breath in a fucking tub.
You can do it, Chris.
This will be my summer, learn how to swim.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck if you ever learn how to swim. You can't even find a fucking song when I'm asking for it. By the way, you guys refused to figure out who did the seals and craft, calling them arts and crafts. According to Dead Cat Skippy, it was George Miller. George Miller always used to appear on the Letterman show. We're looking up pictures of him now as we speak. But he, I think he passed away, if I'm not wrong about it. It's a different George Miller. You want to put comedian George Miller. Why don't we just take a break? We'll be right back. It's the Bennington Show. Yeah, it's the Bennington Show. We're going to take a long weekend because we're having a summer.
Having a summer. It's the official beginning of summer.
It is, you think, Memorial Day?
I think, that's where most people
Well, in Amity, we decided it's July 4th, and we're keeping those beaches open. We're having a Kittner Boy special this year. That if your kid's eaten by a shark, it's half off crab legs anywhere in Amity. Amity means friendship. That's why I have these anchors all over me to anchor down my coat. Hey, wait a minute about closing down the beach. I said we close it down for 45 minutes. That's it. Anytime we have a shark attack and death, 45 minutes. If it's a bite, 10 minutes. But yeah, I agree with you. It feels like the beginning of summer, right?
Yeah. And today it's, in the city, in New York, it's like our first really hot day. So
yeah. Well, do you ever notice when it gets really bright in New York, it looks like an old newsreel? I don't know what happens, but I guess the colors get faded or brighter or something.
Yeah.
But it looks like you're looking at a 1964 newsreel about the World's Fair.
I think it's just that hazy heat that shows up in the summer where everything kind of has a strange, film.
It's a hazy, lazy, crazy days of summer, This year, I believe, and I hope, we're going to have the first summer of Sam that we've had in quite a few years.
Oh, no. Yeah. That sounds terrifying.
I heard it from a dog. A dog actually said to me, Ronnie, it's Giant Dog! We got back into Giant Dog. It was great meeting the old drummer from Giant Dog.
I know. That was really a very interesting coincidence.
Yeah, it was an unexpected treat and a heartbreak story. And I'd like to see him get booked on the Best Show to talk about what it was like to have the giant dog pulled out from underneath you.
I'm going to talk to Tom Sharpling about that, see if maybe I can get him booked.
Stop bragging, okay?
I have his number right here in my cellular device.
Really? Give it out on the air.
No, I won't do it.
Can give him a buzz.
Do it.
Why does he have to bring up truckers every time he talks to us?
I don't know. He's obsessed with truckers, and he's obsessed with Raw Dog, as though we named the channel.
And also obsessed with, cussing like he was 8. Yes, people talk this way.
You know what? I would imagine that it would be very difficult for Chris because I struggle in there because sometimes you just punctuate. It's not like I was trying to work blue.
I could work either way. I have parents. I know what it's like not to be saying fuck.
But sometimes it just feels like, how will they know I really mean it if I don't say fuck before this?
That's true.
We need some sort of passionate way to express ourselves.
What sounds more like you mean it? I want my money or I want my fucking money?
Latter.
Mm-hmm. That means when you say I want my money, it's like, I'm hoping to get my money back. If it's not too much of an inconvenience, you let me know.
Yeah. This isn't a fucking nerd pile. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? This isn't Joe's prom date. Joe, who'd you go with? Your cousin?
No, I went with a girl in my homeroom.
Thanks for being fucking specifically real.
Yeah.
It's the important thing in storytelling is give each detail out in the way that it happened. All right, it's the Bennington Show, and this is a big Wednesday. Now, I know the Yonkers couple, they always want us to turn straight vegan, right?
They do. And they've actually called it in before because we've had some best burger conversations. And their favorite burger is a veggie burger. And I always forget the name of the place. I need to write it down because like they brought it up to me several times as the best burger ever, but it's a veggie burger.
Mm-hmm.
And they say that it's better than any meat-filled burger. But up on the iBang, there's this new veggie burger that this chef has invented. So his life work is to make the burger most like meat. So you're still getting,
burgery.
Yeah. So and the way he has done this is making a burger that bleeds, that feels like you are biting into a rare burger.
And what does it bleed?
It bleeds beet juice. So it is pumped with this beet juice kind of in the center. So when you bite into it, it still has that juicy feeling that you remember from when you were a meat eater.
But, no one goes the opposite direction and tries to make meat more like a vegetable. Why do you want to make a vegetable more like a meat?
Well, I think the reason is most people are raised eating meat. So most people grew up in homes where
Can I tell you what I was?
Mm-hmm.
I was raised on rock. You know what I mean? That was my thing.
Yeah.
I was raised on rock. Now, I know, but you're trying to kick that habit. It's like you don't want to go from cigarettes to candy cigarettes.
Right.
You know?
Or the non-alcoholic beer is not going to help you.
Anyone drinking a non-alcoholic beer is going back to drinking. It's a fucking fact.
Right.
O'Doul's has never sobered anyone up. You are just spending time before you start drinking.
Yeah. They're like, this is just what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
O'Doul's.
I'm trying my best to hold on, but I know I'm going to land in fucking Beer Town.
Now, I like the idea that he's come up with, but beets, I don't like beets. To me, it's one of the worst foods, so I don't imagine that I would like the taste of this.
What about some borscht?
I hate borscht. I think that beets, to me, the flavor of beets, like you've taken a little bit of dirt and a little bit of poop, and you've rolled that into a ball, and then you've rolled that in sugar.
Why are you trying to turn the rest of us off of beets?
God.
Borscht is
Dirty,
a lovely thing.
Shitty sugar. That's what beets taste like.
I don't know. Blue Apron Beach, you feel the same way about?
I don't make them. It's one of the only things I substitute.
See, the thing about the fake burger is, that's what it looks like?
Yeah.
Oh my
that
God.
looks just like a fucking burger.
It's the Beyond
That's crazy.
Burger.
Now, where's this at?
I don't know the name of the place. I think it's up there on the article. But yeah, this guy, was it in New York?
It's in New York. It's called Beyond Meat.
Beyond Meat. And this guy does a lot of things other than burgers. Like he makes a chicken, like chicken strips that actually feel like the same texture as chicken. So he's really working out this thing of making
God
you
bless
feel.
him. He's a mad scientist. But I never think to myself, man, I wish this celery tastes more like chicken. I just don't. You know what I mean? I think of vegetables as vegetables.
Right.
Meat is meat.
Although
but
vegetables
I eat less meat now since the Blue Apron. I pick a lot more of the vegetarian meals, and I've never had a bad vegetarian meal.
I feel, and probably because of Blue Apron, I feel like I can see it in my sights that I could be a vegetarian. Like I'm not there yet, but I make some small steps. Like I do one meal a day meat. That doesn't sound probably to someone who's a vegetarian. They're like, that's still disgusting.
They'll say that that's good.
Yeah, but
if
I won't
do one vegetarian meal a day.
Yeah, so if
then it's just a matter of adding one more after that.
Yeah. Then, yeah, you're there. And then I usually do one day a week that's no meat whatsoever.
Right.
So I'm like, I feel like I could maybe get there. I mean, there's things like I don't care what this mad scientist is doing. If
I was to look around this room, I think there's only two of us that would have a shot at being vegetarians, and it's you and Joe. But I can't picture Vito going vegetarian. I can't picture Chris. I can't picture me. Although I'm closer than any other point in my entire life.
Yeah. It's amazing when you realize that it is a lot more doable.
Wait,
And it also helps.
Can vegetarians eat eggs?
Vegetarian can, but not if you're vegan.
Yeah, I can't vegan.
That's impossible for me mostly just because of the cheese factor.
Right.
I can't do I can't do a vegan
You have cheese with every meal.
Yeah, every meal. On my meatless days, I'm substituting that for cheese.
I'll have a cheese and fries. Just a block of cheese and a bunch of fries. Cheese fries. Disco fry it up for me, if you can.
Now, if you had to go vegetarian tomorrow, you knew for the rest of your life.
It had to be done that way.
It had to be done for whatever reason. So tonight, you have your last meal where you can eat meat. What would be your last meal?
Christ.
Well, I'm going to throw this. It would not be a steak. Because as good as steak is, you just don't want to end it off that way. Pure meat. Might be fried chicken.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
But, I like having some pasta and meatball or sausage, too.
Shit.
Like their meat's a side. I think you could be a vegetarian if you use the meat as a side not the main game.
It's just on the side.
If you're a vegetarian, can you have fish?
Yeah, some vegetarians are specifically pescatarian.
Can they make my fish taste like meat?
Can they cook it in meat juice?
I think eating too much fish just make you seem retired. When you're that guy who's like, I just want a nice piece of fish. That's all I'll have. Like, why? You see where we are? What are you doing having a piece of fucking fish? We're not in a seafood restaurant. We're in a diner.
Chris, what would be your last meat meal?
Fried chicken was the thing that came to mind. And
it was in my mind, too.
Like, it's just fried chicken.
Yes.
To never have it again? Or bone marrow, I think, is just fucking totally...
Bone marrow?
Yeah, bone marrow is fucking
But
delicious.
bone marrow you don't use as a fucking entree.
Yeah, you're not going to sit... How much
Take it
bone...
aside?
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Get some bone
All right,
marrow
so
on the side before your meal.
Joe, why don't you do it? Why he sits and ponders.
My last meal would be barbecue.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get that taste again.
Because my initial thought was a pulled pork sandwich. Pulled pork
smart.
sandwich where you're not getting... And then I'm not even doing any cheese. So I'm just focusing on the meat
Like you're
here.
saving for the cheese for later.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to have the meat.
Yeah.
You're not going vegan. You're going vegetarian.
Exactly. So that's why I'm just focusing on the
Vito,
meat
what are you
here.
going to have? Some pasta vazul? What are you going to have?
I'm going to guess it's going to be he's a little brajol.
I'm going to my unlimited steak place, and I'm going out with a bang and
All
just
right,
going
that's a
nonstop.
smart idea.
That's true.
You go and enjoy yourself.
He will. That makes sense.
By the way, I've seen you, though. There's a limit to your steak eating. I mean, I don't know why you're happy that there's steak you're not eating, but that's why he loves the unlimited place. A bunch of $5 steaks hanging from from the roof.
But I think also
Get the phones, Vito.
Bacon. Bacon would be hard not to include bacon in some way in your last meal.
You know, the internet never brings up bacon. Do they even like it?
I'm not sure. Is it popular with the kids?
They're mixed.
What about Nutella? And what about combining the two?
No, that could never happen.
Man, I'm like really messed up now because I really felt strongly about that pulled pork choice, but the fried chicken just doesn't seem like you're going to ever get. Nothing's going to recreate that.
Nothing's going to recreate that. It's a knockout fucking meal.
Like a pulled pork, if it's in a good sauce and you were doing some sort of substitute, you might feel a little bit like you were experiencing it, but not
soy pork.
Like some sort of.
Mac in South Dakota.
Yeah, if tomorrow was my last day to ever eat meat, I would fly to France and go get one of those pork that they dry here for 20 years.
Here's what I worry about, though. Suppose there was some airline problem, and you're stuck in the airport by the time it runs out, and your last meat meal is a Cinnabon.
Can I get any meat on this Cinnabon?
You wasted it.
I'm eating a lot of Cinnabons if we get fucking rid of meat.
I've been eating a lot of Cinnabons.
I just got a text from Mayor Larry Vaughn. It says, please don't spend rumors that we are closing beaches. It's been a really long winter in Amity, so those beaches will be open. Well, you started some real shit with this if you had to quit eating meat thing.
I know. It's not an easy decision what the last meal would be. I really do feel guilty that pork bacon wouldn't be involved, though. But I don't know. Bacon's okay.
Why can't you have bacon in the morning and then you have some steak later?
Oh, yeah. So you a full day of meat?
A full day.
What a sampler.
A full meat celebration?
Larry in Yonkers has sent us some stuff saying that place is mainly takeout. It's weird. Vegetarian takeout?
These vegetables are so cold.
Mark, Boston.
Now, it would be corned beef and cabbage. I'd have to say, without a doubt, I could eat that almost all week if that was my last meal. I'd make it a whole week's worth.
Yeah, because your last meat, you want to make sure that it's fucking tasteless. You want to soak it like corned beef and cabbage. It may be why soup has taste from just fucking
the runoff.
Yeah, the boiling meat, but the meat itself no longer does. The taste has drifted out. The Irish, who are not known for their food, eat corned beef and cabbage.
Yeah, corned beef it's not my favorite thing.
Ugh, big hams.
It blows.
I'll do ham and cabbage before corned beef and cabbage, though.
None of it with cabbage. Screw cabbage, too.
Don't fight out of me. Fuck cabbage. I'm trying to have a summer. So summer starts for you this weekend.
It begins now. I think that this is the
I didn't know
kickoff.
everybody felt that way. You feel that way, Chris?
No, I feel like June. No, July.
You go wait, now you're on to July?
July is the beginning of the summer.
All right, when's it over?
September 1st is the end of summer.
So you're giving a 6-week holiday for you, or 5-week. That's how long summer is.
Yeah, you're only
the last 7 weeks, most.
You're only giving yourself like those 2 months.
Yeah, August and
that's not enough of a summer.
I will agree that I'm not going by the calendar. When you're back to school, fucking summer is over.
Yeah.
Now, if you want an Indian summer, that's up to you. I'm ready to call anything an Indian summer.
I would love to do a year of the endless summer. You
surf all over?
Well, or
you chase the sun?
Yeah, exactly. Like maybe you're here for a couple months while it's hot, but then you just keep moving around every 3 months, so you're getting full-time summer.
All right, where are you going to be during the winter then? Are you going to be in South America? Are you going to be in Australia?
Yeah.
You're going to be in Thailand? Where are you going to be?
I would say down Mexico way.
Really?
Yeah.
Down Old Mexico?
Yeah.
Okay. That's weird. I got to think I'd love to do an Australian winter, which is, our summer. You're surrounded by swimming white people who are just trying to they're like, we got to enjoy the fucking winter while it's here. We got to. Because I like that idea better than people. No offense to Hawaiians, but they don't know what the fuck summer is,
Right.
I mean, it's when something is the same way all the time, you got no appreciation for it.
Yeah.
That's like why we don't appreciate being able to breathe air, because we can do it. But suppose you could only really breathe decently 2 months out of the year. You'd be just fucking constantly breathing in. You would love it.
But even growing up in Florida, you don't appreciate.
No, of course not.
I was so jealous of the idea of 4 seasons. I was obsessed with it. Fall and winter.
East Coast people go fucking crazy in the summer.
Yeah.
And people where it's warm have no idea. People will own pools that they can only use for 8 weeks. They own boats that they're going to get 8 weekends out. They own a summer house that they're only going to use over 8 weeks. And not even full time, 8 weekends, and then probably a week thrown in the middle of it. There's an insanity and a love for the summer on the East Coast that you don't get anywhere else.
2 or 3 weekends ago, I was walking through Prospect Park, It was an okay day, mostly cloudy, but nice enough that we weren't walking around in winter coats.
Mm-hmm.
And there were people who were sunbathing in bathing suits in the middle of Prospect Park because they're just like, I just need this. I need summer to begin now.
Well, Montreal has all those festivals, the jazz fest that come, because the people are outside constantly. And they want to be outside. They want to be laughing. They want to be dancing. They love the summer. You'll just see people dancing in the street with each other to some half-assed band playing ridiculous music. And you're like, this is fucking amazing. This is better than anything. Because the summer is important to them. Now, if I was chasing the summer, I think I'd want to be on the East Coast in the summer. You know what I mean? Like, I'd want to be like either a Long Island or Cape Cod during the summer because it's a different kind of summer. It's cold water, hot sun. It's nice.
And you get more, and you get all the events. I mean, we have the same thing.
I definitely would want to spend some time in South Africa. That seems interesting to me. I'd have to do either a Central America or South America. I'd want to get in Australian. I don't know about Mexico. It seems a little lazy and less summery to me. You know?
Yeah, but it's such a good heat there. Like, it just feels so
dry
good.
heat?
No, it's a wet heat. Like,
you
it's
like a nice wet heat.
I like both. I like heat however I can take it.
You like jungle heat that you can shave in without even putting on any fucking shaving cream. You're just sitting there.
But a desert dry heat is amazing too. I feel in my natural habitat though, in a wet heat. I think having grown up in Florida.
That's weird.
Like when I got off the plane in Mexico, it was like a very surreal feeling where I was like, I haven't felt this way since I immediately, I was like, why do I was like, why do I feel like a little kid or something was like very familiar? And I realized I hadn't been in that climate in a long time. It was like 99 degrees and just like wet heat.
Yeah. Fucking, it's always crazy. It's like, and I always remember this from when I was a kid. If you would sleep somewhere where you got the windows open and then you'd wake up in the morning and you would be wet, but from morning dew. Like morning dew has gotten into the house and has soaked the sheets. You wake up like, what the fuck, did I piss all over? No, it's like Earth has pissed on me. Well, Joey, I imagine your people must go pretty buck wild in the summer, huh?
Yeah, they love summer. And once it's like 45 degrees, that's an excuse for people to wear shorts. So they embrace it early.
Oh, shorts happen so early.
You know what
in New York,
his summer is, though, is all lakes. That's like a big lake area where people have lake houses. They take their boats out on the lake and just stay drunk, like fucking 18 feet off the shore. Women have like their tits out, like, yay! We're on a fucking boat, everybody. The fucking Lonely Island shit. But they say Minnesota is the land of 50 lakes.
No, that's not right.
How many lakes is it?
It's 10,000.
Okay. 10 million lakes.
No, less.
Is there really 10,000 lakes?
There's actually, I think, 12,991.
So they undersold?
291. Yeah.
That's a weird thing to do. Like, I thought you were going to say it's close to 10,000.
I think some of those lakes are ponds. I'm going to be totally...
Honestly,
looks
some
like
of them
we found
are.
Another lake.
And there's like 200 round lakes. They named it Round Lake. There's 200 of them. Which Round Lake am I going to, Uncle?
Uncle?
Uncle, that's weird.
You call all men Uncle?
Yeah.
Hello there, Uncle. Good tidings. I'm off to Round Lake. Did you used to go to lake houses for the summer, though?
Yeah. My aunt and uncle had a cabin, and everyone there has like boats and cabins, little what we call up north there. So if you're from the cities, you go up north to the cabins, yeah.
And what kind of boat are we talking about?
You know, like pontoons and speedboats, some wakeboarding boats.
is a fucking dock that is no longer attached.
You know, there's a very popular Bennington pontoon.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic.
I saw one up in Lake George.
Uh-huh.
It's a very classy boat.
Yeah, it's probably one of the nicer pontoons that's made today.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to do live reads for the Bennington pontoon.
It's a nice pontoon.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, the great thing about a pontoon is you can put a picnic table out there, you can barbecue.
Yeah, have a dance party.
Yeah, anything you want to do. Anything besides drive around and ski and have fun. See, I would like a little bit of a lake summer. I always think that if you're going to write a novel, you want to have a cabin next to a lake.
Yeah.
Now, you're going to write how many hours a day? 4?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, anything past 4, and you're burnout.
You're
right?
probably too much. I would say like 5, you would probably not be writing good stuff anymore.
So what about this? You get up early in the morning, you make a fucking fire, you have a breakfast, you start writing your novel. Around noon, you're done, and then it's available for fishing, swimming, drinking, and smoking weed.
This sounds lovely.
You pass out around 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. I mean, pass out fucking drunk. You know what I mean? Just fucking down to the point where your neighbors see you, because like your door's open and your foot's hanging out. You're fucked. I mean, you're Hemingway drunk, right? Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, you do have a beard. Because you're fucking so busy writing that you can't...
Right, you're not thinking about your physical state anymore.
And then you just get up in the morning and you fucking wrestle with it again. You just battle it out for 4 hours. Then you're, in an inner tube, drinking, fucked up, having a great summer.
This sounds
You're making
great.
it a summer. I know.
This is a great life. I particularly like passing out in your doorway.
What are you going to do, Hey, Robert, Fresno. Robert, go ahead, buddy.
We have an endless summer here in Fresno, and it fucking sucks. I would kill it to see some snow.
It's just always hot in Fresno?
It's hot as shit, yeah. How's balls?
Yeah,
balls.
I mean, Fresno just bakes. It just bakes.
Yeah, it's a hot, dry heat, but it's shitty.
Shitty, hot, dry heat.
You could always travel to see snow, just like people travel for nice weather.
Yeah, how far are you from an ocean?
Oh, yeah, it's fucking 2 hours.
Yeah, 2 hours. And then the ocean's pretty cold there, right?
Yeah, it's
like not refreshing. It's fucking freezing, What you need to do is go down to Pismo Beach, my friend, and just fucking enjoy life a little bit, I got to take a break here. Working on my book called Endless Summer. And it's just, I'm writing a book about how romantic it would be to write a book.
You're off to a great start.
Right. And by the way, when you're writing this novel that I have in my head, you start the summer single. Doesn't mean you end up that way, though.
Oh.
Yeah. Because you're like the legend.
Yeah,
you're somebody wants to come and help this literary hermit.
One of the townies, perhaps.
Yeah, hopefully a townie. Maybe she's a librarian or school teacher, somebody who appreciates literature, and weed and tequila. May I offer you more weed to go with that tequila? I'm just going over the pages. This is fascinating. There's no rewrites in this fantasy book. It's just fucking platinum every day. Platinum. We'll be right back. Bennington. Hey, it's the Bennington Show kicking off the summer.
Having a summer.
Where's that bit? Are we ever going to play it, Joe? Or did you say it was a song? It's a bit?
It's a bit, video, and song.
Why aren't we ever playing it? I'd love to hear it. I like to kick off my summer that way. Bennington Show, who do we got coming up, Chris?
We have Jesse David Fox, senior editor at Vulture.com.
Big weekend for Vulture. They did Vulture Fest. Crushed it.
Yeah, there was, it seemed like it was massive this year. Like
it was fantastically big and hip and cool, and stuff was going on at the Standard. and at BAM and all this kind of places I should be hanging out at all the time.
I know. That seems like that should be your scene.
I should be at the Standard, and I'm like, honey, I got to leave you. I got this thing at BAM.
Sorry. I got to get to BAM, but...
And the thing is, I got a Brooklyn chick, so kind of got a chick in every single part of New York.
Well, I think it's fine as long as a river separates your lovers.
Somebody told me that there's a train that runs under the river.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, in Harry Potter Town, because that train would be soaked, my friend. I know a little something about the earth, and nothing gets under a river. Sometimes I wish I had a river that I could sail away on, you know? Just like Joni Mitchell. How far are you going to sail in a river? A mile? Before you're like, I'm going to turn back. There's nothing to see on this river.
It's just so skinny. It's each bank.
I think I'm going to spend the entire summer in a canoe this year, or white river rafting. I'm not sure which.
I like to do both of those things.
My other thing, though, that I'm liking more is brown river rafting, where you take a raft to a part of the river that doesn't move at all. You're just out there. This way you're not constantly with the paddles and getting soaking wet, but you're just out.
Just chill.
Yeah, you're just out brown river rafting.
And it's exciting because you really don't want to fall in. Because why is that river so brown?
No one's ever been killed brown river rafting. Brown river. Well, it's almost time for us to watch our yearly meatballs and our yearly vacation.
Yes. The summer does not begin without watching meatballs. It is a tradition.
Are you ready for the summer?
And then we used to watch it. It was the last day of school.
Yeah.
Like that night, we would watch meatballs.
Well, it was the last day of your school. I still had to go to work.
Right. You still
I like the idea of summer. I was also, unlike other parents, I liked when the kids were home in the summer. It made life fucking nicer.
Yeah, it's weird because I never got the sense that you guys were sad that we were home for the summer. But I know that's very common with other people I know. They're like, oh, my parents hated when we were home for the summer.
That's Jews. But Christians love having their kids home for the summer. I mean, Christians started homeschooling because they didn't want their kids to keep going out, you know?
Just stay here.
Well, the great thing about kids being home for the summer is you guys are around to watch movies 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Where you
get yourself on a nice, bad schedule for 3 months.
What's the problem with that?
And then this way the fall is so jarring for you.
Yeah. It just feels like you're doing school in the middle of the night.
Like, what?
I don't understand it.
This is horrible.
I'm normally just laying down now. Chris, do you ever have one road trip with your family?
Long Beach Island, does that count? To Jersey?
Yeah, that's a vacation. Long Beach Island.
That was the one vacation I remember taking with my family.
Did you guys rent a cottage? Because there's not hotels there, right?
Oh, no. I think they had like a family friend that lived there.
Okay.
So we stayed there.
Nice.
They're doing very well.
Well, you're not doing all that well, if I'm going to be totally honest. But I've been there before. That's like Lady something, and then Barnegat Lighthouse is there.
The Barnegat Lighthouse was big with the Stanley household.
I wonder what year you were there. I wonder if that would have been a very funny thing, and I would have been there same time as little Chris Stanley.
Aww,
late 80s, early 90s was probably the time I was there.
I was there every summer from 63 to 79. No, I don't know. I always only there once. I told you about this before, that I was at this fucking bar, and they were all beach people. They were like middle-aged people who had a summer, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you see these fucking overly tan, drunk people. When you're young, it's always weird to you when you run into middle-aged people who are just fucking hammered, you know? But at a certain point of the night, there was all these shitty instruments, like drums and fucking horn instruments up on the wall. And at some point, they played a song on a jukebox, or maybe there was an organ player in there, and then everybody would take down an instrument and march around playing it, and then blowing whistles and shit. They were just fucking crazy, drunk summer people, and it was a blast.
That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah. Another time I was down there, and we were sitting at the bar, me and my girlfriend at the time, and I kept having her talk to middle-aged dudes that were buying us both drinks. That's got a little more low rent.
Great.
Go sit next to that guy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, literally, I'm not saying she was flirting, but she was paying attention to people that were 30, 35 years older than her. And then I was just being quiet, drinking my drink, looking around, like letting them have a moment, you know? That's fucking seriously, you could see yourself going in the wrong direction with that. Here's Paul, New Zealand. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Ron. Yes, I'm over here living in New Zealand now, and our summer starts in November. It's nice and dry, and there's quite a bit to do down here on the South Island, so it's kind of a nice change from Florida, where I'm from.
Now, what we consider the summer? What's the weather like there?
So during the day, it gets up to mid to high 80s during December.
Yeah, but what about June and July? What's your weather like?
So right now we're going into winter.
Okay.
And it's kind of like New England, I would say. Right now it's not too cold. It's more, it's in the 50s during the day, and then at night it drops down into the 30s and 40s.
This might sound crazy. I'd rather spend the summer in New Zealand.
Really?
Yeah. And just have a nice cold summer,
Nice,
you know?
a nice cool summer. It's a
the good thing is
summer.
we're flying back to Florida next, when we get, we take a month off because you take actually breaks here and not have to, do the grind so much. So we get to spend, the winter month of July in Florida. So it'll be nice to get a break from the winter.
Now, why are we the only country who doesn't like to take a month off?
I don't know. It's
I don't
crazy.
know either.
It's insane if you look at, the way other countries handle, like your employers give you time off. It would be crazy. It's not even like, oh, that's a perk. It's just
Right.
like that's how things are.
And with a lot of people, if you only take 1 week off at a time, you're still it takes you 3 or 4 days to de-stress.
Yeah.
You get a little distressed, and then you're like, after 2 days, you're like, fuck, I got to go back to work. Monday, I don't have shit done.
Yeah.
Hey, Ron, the whole country basically shuts down the month of December. You may as well just write it off because nobody's working.
I love that idea.
It's very nice.
Great. Yeah,
I
so
think you
twice
should
a
take
year,
off.
Get a month off.
Yeah, take off the entire month and just fucking, cruise. Just spend the summer cruising. All right, buddy, enjoy your cold winter, but then enjoy the trip in the FLA.
Thanks, man.
Talk to you later, Paul. Peace.
Bye-bye.
Now, summer in Florida gets way too hot.
Yeah, it's too hot. It's very wet. It's very Evergladesy.
Yeah, there's dead gators on the side of the road.
It's very swampy.
Yeah.
So it's not that nice.
It's well, the kids generally stay in. And even if you're up by the pool, if you're not like in the water, you probably ought to go back in the house. You don't want to sit next to a pool.
Yeah, it is.
They'll cook. You'll literally start and cook.
Yeah, and also people in Florida, like when I moved to New York, people would say, oh man, like you must be used to this kind of heat. And it's like, no, not at all, because people in Florida go from AC to AC. Like they don't spend time outside unless you're going to be at the beach, in the water, in a pool. Like you kind of have to be submerged in water if you're going to be outside.
Shrekalov was telling me not too long ago there was like a power failure, and it was like 103 at nighttime. And she said, I just went to the bar, even in the middle of the night, just sat in the bar in the cool. But they say alcohol is the worst thing for you in that kind of heat, and yet all you want to do is drink alcohol.
Yeah, this will make me feel better.
I'm always like, you could tell me that this isn't good for me, but I know what my body craves, and I trust it. And my body craves alcohol. One little volume chaser.
Well, that's not for the cool.
I would have loved to have been a happy drunk. That's got to be the greatest thing in the world. Just to be the silly, harmless, happy drunk. Not the what the fuck are you looking at drunk. That's the terrible drunk to be. You might as well ride it out if you're a happy drunk.
Guess you never really hit rock bottom when you're a happy drunk.
No.
It's all pretty good.
Because you're like, bottom is great.
Then eventually a doctor has to be like, you killed your liver. And you're like, I did? How?
I guess this is bottom. Did I quit? Oh, it doesn't matter if I quit. It's still death is the only option. Then you see, some of those dudes, they get a fucking late in life liver, and it's just a reboot for them. They just start fucking drinking again.
Yeah.
I have the liver of a 16-year-old. I'm ready to go.
Why shouldn't you? I mean, at that point, you will not outlive your... All right, look at these assholes that are fucking trying to bust up the Trump thing. They're just helping Trump get elected.
Oh, boy.
Because no one likes to see fucking morons throwing shit at cops when all they have to do is vote. You know what I mean? Trump is never going to go, I've seen what you guys are saying. I get it now. I've been a dick. I'm not running anymore.
I stepped down.
Yeah. I didn't get what you guys were chanting about Mexicans until right now.
Now I understand. Oh, boy. It already begins.
So it begins. This is summer.
The heat of the summer.
Did you ever find that song?
Yeah.
Is it good?
Yeah, it's good. It tells you everything you need to do in the summer. It's called Summer Says.
All right, now tell everybody who did it.
Howard Kremer.
All right, let's take a listen. As the big Summer Says. I don't know, his bit when he's saying about having summer is the funny one, yeah. Nick in San Diego.
Hey, buddies.
Yeah.
Ronnie, I wanted to know if all the massive Trump support is kind of having a Dave Matthews effect for you. All the people supporting him just being kind of douchey about it. Cause
well, it's not just...
I was on board, but I kind of out of spite now. Like, I kind of just don't want to root for him. It's bothered. Like, they're so passionate about it. I don't know.
There's also the people that are passionate against him are annoying, too. You know what I mean? Like...
I don't think as annoying, dude. Like, if you go on, like, Reddit, like, these fucking people have taken over, like, 60% of, like, all the front page, like, posts are all from Donald Trump stuff, and it's the most fucking retarded people. Like,
really? I did not know that. I would have thought Reddit was a lefty kind of vibe.
Because all the racism stuff.
Yeah, it's all racism stuff, but they're so passionate about taking over everything, they kind of, like, became... who they hate, and it's kind of making me hate it. Even though, I guess I still want him to win, but it's fucking infuriating. I mean, just go check it out. The front page is like 60%. It's crazy.
Chris,
this
what
is
do you
like
say?
for the past 4 months.
No, I'm on the front page of Reddit. I don't see one Trump story.
It's all under the Donald subreddit. It's like
it's a subreddit.
Yeah, the subreddit.
This is gonna be why you're.
But the subreddit is the one that they take the stories from there and they go to the front page.
There's not one Trump story on the front page.
If I go on my app right now and scroll, is like all that, and I'm not even subscribed to it.
Yeah, there's not one Trump story on the front page.
What's on the front page, Chris?
All right, on the front page is a dog picture, a picture of a boat, someone talking about playing Doom, the video game, the Peter Thiel story about Hulk Hogan being funded by him to go against Gawker, and a picture of Cthulhu.
I got it. They got the fourth story, and the number one story is the Hillary.
It's because you're subscribed to the subreddit. That's why. That's why it's happening.
I'm not subscribed to it.
Well, then I don't know what's happening.
All right, I'm just an asshole. Then I'm fucking wrong. I'm seeing it wrong.
Peace, Nick. Here's Steve in Connecticut.
Hey guys, I had two things. One, you were talking about Long Beach Island before. I used to go down there on vacation for about 14 years when I was a kid, and you were thinking of Love Ladies, probably, Ron.
Love Ladies, that's the name of it. Yeah.
Love Ladies is one of the more affluent towns, and not only don't they have many motels, there's a few motels in Beach Haven, which is on the south end of the island. But you have to have a residence pass to get on the beach. Even today, they don't allow day pass.
They used to have you have to have like a little thing that you would click on your bathing suit. And I was staying with a girl whose grandparents had a place there.
Yeah, my uncle had a place, and then we used to rent a cottage every summer for about 3 weeks across the street. The other thing is in Sweden, I work for a company that has a lot of people working in Sweden. And in Sweden, in like the second week of July, they all take off about a month. They all have boats. They go to the coast, and they're gone for like a month. So I was talking to one of my colleagues. They said, so what happens if something comes up in Sweden when everybody's gone? says, we take care of it when we get back in August.
Yeah, but what if you like need milk or something? Can you still go to the mall?
Well, they can do that, but I guess all the businesses are shut down basically, and so it's just weird for Americans. The first time I heard that, I said, "Well, wait a sec." But you think about it, it makes sense. If everybody's vacationing, who cares if anything gets done?
It's true, and you will. I mean, everyone acts like it's weird, but TV shows take off, and they seem to come back and make a lot of money for themselves.
Yeah.
Why can't any business do that?
It's not like they're saying you could have been making shows all this time, and there are other shows out there, and you're sleeping it away.
I would start a business that only worked when people were on vacation, and then I'd take the other 11 months off and have a summer.
Oh, it's so great when you have even a job where you maybe work one weekday, one weekend day, but then because of that you get a weekday off. Those days were so great because you could get so much done, or if you wanted to do something relaxing, nobody was around, everyone was at work.
Well, I used to work in this, and it was only a summer business, and it was called Shark Mouths, and I worked for a guy named Quint. Most of the time he was out on the ocean. But I would always take a book to work because no one wanted to buy a shark mouth. And every once in a while the door would open, I hear like a little bell go off, and normally the same thing. Do you have a bathroom? I'd be like, yeah, just back there. It was almost like I hosted a nice bathroom more than anything.
I wonder why those shark mouths weren't moving.
Not a lot of people want a shark mouth anywhere in their home just hanging there. I mean, I'm telling you the truth. I'm starting to think it was a front for something because there's no way he could have kept that business open. And then he would come in, he'd have more shark mouths, and he would spend most of his time like a big pot. He'd have lye. And he was just burning the flesh off him. And he would go like this every time he'd come in. Let me see the ledger, Chief. And I would have to. And he'd be like, so no sales? And I'd be, no. And he's like, just a bunch of looky-loos. And I go, tell you the truth, Quint, no. People don't want to look at shark mouths. And he'll go like this. Well, we'll come back with bigger ones. I go, you really think that's what people want? You think the reason they don't like these shark mouths is they're too small? I go, this is your business. It's up to you. I don't think it's going to make it. Anyone ask for shark noses? Not a single person. Nobody. No. Very well, you ladies of Spain. There's newer songs, Quint. Just because you sail doesn't mean that you should be singing 1800 songs. You know?
He sounds like a really annoying boss.
The only good thing about him is that he would be gone a lot.
Yeah.
You know? But I remember one time I went out on the weekend. He would have a party for everybody who worked at Shark Mouths. And, he'd take us all out on the boat. And I'd be like, Quint, could I drive? Hooper drives the boat, Chief. Called everybody Chief. And he would only let this guy named Hooper drive the boat. No one else could. A great big old hot. Well, we got to take a break here, right, Chris?
Yes,
Who do we got coming up?
We have Jesse David Fox. Jesse's a senior editor at vulture.com.
Jesse writes about comedies. We've got one of the great comedic guys out there, and we wanted him to get in as part of a series we're doing this summer.
Innovators of Entertainment, which is brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka, America's original craft vodka, distilled 6 times from 100% corn and naturally gluten-free. Come visit us at titosvodka.com.
It's always fun for me to see who can spot the upcoming talent in comedy. So we'll jump in with him as soon as we get back. This is Bennington.
Innovators of Entertainment is brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka, America's original craft vodka. Distilled 6 times from 100% corn and naturally gluten-free. Come visit us at titosvodka.com.
Last weekend was Vulture Fest, and Jesse David Fox is here, senior editor at vulture.com. How are you, my friend? Nice to see you.
I'm great. Tired from the weekend, but
that thing took over the city. That was very, very surprising. It was a very it was an event that people were talking about was making all different kinds of media.
Yeah, it's our third year, and we're just really impressed that, it trended on Twitter both days completely separately because of the different events. And, we had 18 events last year, and we have 36 this year. And that was all kind of centralized, mostly kind of in the meatpacking district. It really felt like the big thing that was in the city this week, and we were just really, really, really happy. And the quality of the events was particularly high.
You had phenomenal events. You actually got to host one of them, right?
Yeah. So I'm a writer for Vulture.com, but I also planned the festival, which was just kind of, we wanted the festival to feel like the website, feel almost like our editorial. And the headlining event, which was something that we've tried to do before, is a reunion of the show Happy Endings, which has a real cult following. And we're able to get the entire cast back together, as well as the creator and the showrunner. And it's actually pretty easy to do just because they love hanging out with each other. They just appreciate the opportunity to be in the same room together.
Well, you say you put that together. How long does something like that take? Because giant events, giant places.
Yeah, so we had our first meeting for this year's one in September. September 2015, just to kind of get the biggest list possible of type of events. We started talking to some people. I can't remember when we first started closing events, but for the most part, we kind of put the feelers out as early as last fall. And then we're just keep on booking and closing and arranging things up until I think we announced a leftovers panel with Damon Lindelof and Justin Theroux and other producers. I think maybe 10 days before the event, or we announced the Muppets 2 weeks before, just because we were kind of coordinating how to get the Muppets out there, which was something like you wouldn't see anywhere in the world. There was just there was Kermit and Fozzie, and they're interviewed like they were, Robert De Niro.
Well, I can't imagine the money went into it because you've got BAM and you've got all these things. And then there was a kind of almost a Hollywood type party at the Standard.
Yes.
Which had people hanging out front to,
Yeah, that was funny. We've done that party every year, but for some reason, that's what I commented. I was like, this really feels like when I lived in LA.
Yeah.
There's celebrities there, but also just everyone just felt prettier, and us as the nerds in glasses were all hanging out together. And I was just like, oh, that's that person, that's that person. And some I've met before, some I have not. And it really did feel like, an event, both in terms of the people that are going to it, but also it felt like for the television actors and stars that were in town, partly because Upfronts was just last week, it felt also like a place to be seen, which was not always our goal. We just always kind of want to put a really, really fun festival that made our website feel like a livable thing, like a thing that you could touch. But now that it is a thing that people like to come to because they know the moderators know what they're talking about, that's like a big difference, that they're going to be treated really well, that they're going to be asked smart questions, that the people in the audience are going to ask smart questions. It's really turned into something that really feels like a tradition, already only just 3 years in, that we now can think about, okay, what could even be done to next year? Is it New York, or is it New York and LA next year? Do we even expand it beyond that? And that is something that even 3 years ago, I don't know if we knew, because we really had a struggle to get those people. But this year, the excitement of the people coming was really, really apparent.
Well, there's something different, like you brought up, that you tried to make it feel like the website. And you guys, you're owned by New York Magazine.
Yeah.
Which would put it in a different thing, but there's something more laid back about saying vulture.com. And the type of people that you guys cover seems like the kind of people who show up without an entourage.
Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, for the most part, Vulture's brand, we've been part of New York Magazine the entire time, and, we've been around for maybe a little less than 10 years, but especially over the last couple years, and I've been there about 3.5 years. The last couple years, we really started having a brand separate from New York Magazine.
Yeah.
Just because we grew to be a size that we never really, really was large in that space. And so, a lot of we still get stuff from the magazine, but there's a certain type of pop culture enthusiast that we really found, and the type of shows that we really focus on, or type of shows that not really were focused on before, and the type of talent, and then people that are, vulture famous that aren't necessarily famous.
Right.
People that are A-list to us that might not be A-list in Hollywood.
Well, give us some of those names. Who are people that you're like?
Well, it's like you think about the show Happy Ending, which was not a very famous, very popular show, which is why it got canceled after 3 seasons. And, even the cast was making fun of. It's funny to think about like how big of a reunion this was, even though the fact that no one watched the show. But to our readers, I think sold out in 30 seconds. It sold out as fast as it could take people to go through that website. If the venue was quadruple the size, it would have been the same thing. It's just, we put things in intimate spaces. We were just talking about Maria Bamford, who is perfect, I think, for you guys. And that new show that she's doing on Netflix. Yeah. Everybody loves right away. But when I say everybody, it really isn't everybody. No. It is funny how quickly Maria Bamford seems like a household name just to the people she's a household name to. We're getting these people who are extremely famous to the people that even know they exist, but then so many people don't even know they exist.
Yeah.
And I've loved Maria for so long, and I think she's like one of the true geniuses. And then that show, I know, because I watched a few episodes to interview, because we did the first look, we did like a month ago. And I had no idea what people were going to think of it, because I don't know people who aren't fans of hers. Like, I know people are fans of her, and I know they like her. I don't know people who are just going to casually drop in on it. It seems like, people that write for the internet now have been really receptive, and that's great, because that's a person that I think deserves that, and she's such an extreme talent. But there's that certain thing that, especially as a person who's been there for so long, covering comedy specifically, you don't know what is mass taste anymore a little bit. And it's exciting that, like, given that platform that she has, even she'll say she never expected that, especially at this part in her career, to get a show that people are like, this is her time.
Yeah, I've always been a fan of hers, and I think what she does is really unique and really special. And it is one of those things where if you have that in common with someone, like if you find somebody else who's into what she does, it's so great. So it's cool to see her getting to do this on like a bigger platform, to see like who else she could reach.
But wasn't that just Amy Schumer 2 years ago? It just seemed like it's like you were just saying to people, oh, you should check out Amy Schumer. And then the next thing, your mom is like, I'm not sure if I like Amy Schumer. Like, you're shocked you know her, Mom. I can't believe that.
Well, there are certain comedy forces that have years that it's like, last year Amy Schumer was like the only game in town, where it's like, especially because their show, and it probably was even intentional, like, by her team to be like, okay, we're going to have the show, we're going to have her special, we're going to have her movie all come out like within a couple months. So the only thing anyone was talking about were Amy Schumer, where it went from, who's this person? Oh, this person's the best. And then already people were like, you guys talk about Amy Schumer so much. I was like, you didn't even know who she was 4 months ago.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of the hope, is that you feel like for a time that you can, I feel like it used to be comedians had years that it was like their years, or like a couple years where, like, I don't know, like early 80s, everything was Chevy Chase or whatever. And or everything was Bill Murray. And now it's like the best you can have is like a season where you have like, oh, that Amy Schumer was all everyone talked about last summer.
Yeah.
And then, people moved on already. But like, it really did feel like, because that there was a groundswell around her, and maybe it's Maria for this next 3 weeks, and then Ghost Specials will come out, and we'll see if that's like, Kate McKinnon is now going to be the breakout star from that. And it is really interesting to see, because the internet allows for comedy, I think, to really, really thrive, how quickly these people that we love get to be, a little bit more famous. And it's something that, I've been writing about comedy for a while and been into comedy for so long, that it's been just really great to seeing so many people get success and like finding shows. Then who knows if none of them are Seinfeld level of ratings, but they get to really express their point of view. And, and that's just following these people that were smaller that are now bigger. It's really, really exciting.
At what point what point did they come into your radar? That's what's always interesting.
So, I think at my point, I think at the point that I find a lot of comedians would be when, I was living in LA at a time when a lot of people that were in New York moved to LA. So I was like going to shows in LA when, Mulaney, I think, just was doing stuff there, and Kroll and Pete Holmes just moved out there, and Hannibal's doing more shows in LA, and Kyle Kinane was kind of like, they're doing the shows around town. And then, since I've been in New York, you just kind of at the point where people are doing good sets in the better shows in town, like shows at Union Hall or Bell House. So they're not TV deals. They're not even really guest star deals. You probably can think of them as the tier where they're right after they've already gotten their first late night set. I think that's kind of like a good tier. Like they've done Conan, or like if they've done Seth Meyers, I think that's probably like my wheelhouse of celebrity. Like that comedian Joe Pera had a really breakthrough set 2 weeks ago. And I've loved Joe Pera for a while, and that's a comedian who I was like, oh, that's a very specific taste, right? And he did a set on Seth Meyers, and I thought the audience responded really well. And I was mostly just writing an article about how weirdly, how much that audience received this kind of weirder comedian. Because a late night audience, like the audience that's actually in the studio, tends to be kind of tourists and people who aren't that comedy savvy. And he destroyed doing a very weird thing. So I just like wrote about it, and it was huge. It went viral as much as like a 5-minute stand-up set can do. And that's a comedian I've known for a while. So there was a certain level of familiarity that I was happy to have with that. So that's kind of like the tier that I think I first get. I'm not like at open mics every night, and I'm probably not seeing too many people that are only like 2 or 3 years in. You probably, I almost don't want to because I feel like I hold it against them when they're.
Isn't that a funny thing too? And that it does. I don't know. I just feel like if you would have seen the Replacements 6 months in, you might have went, okay, these guys are going somewhere. But I don't know whether you can do that with a comedian.
No.
And I owned a comedy club before, and people say, well, what do you think? And I'm being like, I don't know, just keep going. And if you've quit, then I know you won't make it. But other than that, I realize, because I've seen guys turn corners.
Yeah.
And I've seen guys that I thought weren't that good to go on and become stars, big stars.
I mean, I've seen people that I love that I didn't think were bad, but I'm like, oh, that's not that interesting. That became tremendously good comedians and big. I remember, like the first time I saw Pete Holmes at Comedy Death Ray, God knows how long ago, I was just like, yeah, he's good. He's kind of energetic and he's nice. And then somewhere along the way, he became an incredibly interesting comedian where sometimes, like when I saw Hannibal the first time, he told one joke and I immediately was like, oh, that's a different point of view. Or I think the biggest outlier was like Michael Che the first time.
Sure.
2 years in, Michael Che already was great and no one knew why, but we just accepted that.
Here's my belief about Michael Che. I think getting SNL was the worst thing ever happened to him.
Oh, interesting.
Because I think that he was on his way to being one of the all-time greats, and now he's doing Seth Meyers jokes.
Yeah.
And people are like, I don't know about that guy. And I'm like, I don't know why they won't let him do Michael Che jokes.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also it takes a while for people to figure out what your version of being on SNL is, and I think it's this is the second year I can't even remember at this point. It feels like it just all.
I think he's done 2 years.
Yeah.
So I think it might be. It's like anything. In 2 years, we'll only remember what Seth Meyers jokes were. Just like and I think he has such a clear point of view that once he figures out what that version is on SNL, which I don't think he necessarily has, but you see glimmers every once in a while. I think especially the parts on top that Colin and Mike do that tend to be a little bit longer, that seem to not be written by just the writers. Really, you can get a sense of their voice, and they might not necessarily be the best jokes, but they definitely like, okay, we kind of know who these people are. And it's just a matter of the problem with SNL is just such a busy schedule, and so many people, some of those guys have such a hard time also then going out.
Yeah,
I think. Because you're working so many hours a day and you're getting to do comedy so many hours a day. So to be like, oh, I didn't sleep Tuesday night, Wednesday night I need to go to do 3 slots at the Cellar. I think John Mulaney was like the big exception where somehow he was able to like write 3 sketches on Tuesday, then also like go out Wednesday, Thursday, and then also be back.
But I think that he was also a little experienced before he got in there. When you take a Pete Davidson,
oh sure,
that is just bizarre to put the kid in that position.
But Pete Davidson, I was surprised when he was cast, but then when his first appearance on SNL, you're like, yeah, all right, this works.
Yeah,
whatever reason it does.
Yeah,
it's like a magical thing of. I remember his first desk piece. He showed up and people cheered like they've already known him forever. And that's like if Lorne has anything, he somehow, no one's getting it right 100% of the time, but to take, was he 19 or 20 at the time? to be like, yeah, that guy makes sense on SNL, even though he can't do characters or impressions.
Yeah. And doesn't ever seem like he ever wanted to be an actor.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was whatever, that charisma that the camera grabs. Because there are plenty of people that have it until they get in front of the camera, and vice versa a lot of times as well. But it's fascinating. I don't think there's another art form that you can watch move along the same way as you can comedy.
In terms of people developing?
In terms of people developing, and where you go out in the clubs pretty easily in New York and you go, okay, here's the senior class.
Yeah.
Here's So I think that I could probably, if you got some people, we went out and did a study of people that you will be writing about in 2 or 3 years. You know, we could probably do pretty good at guessing who are the guys that are going to be interesting to Vulture.
Yeah, I mean, not to brag too much, but so I think my first year when I was at Vulture, I came not only to write about comedy, but I wanted to, and kind of a breakout thing that I did or wanted to do was I did a big list of the 50 comedians you will and should know or something like that.
Yeah.
And I specifically was like, none of them could have already had a TV series or, which seems like a large barrier of entry. But, and then if you look at that list now, which was, say, almost 3 years ago, all those people were like very, very big names. I mean, like Amy Schumer was on that list before she had a major TV credit. Gerard Carmichael's on that list. John Mulaney was on that list. Pete Holmes, Chelsea Peretti was on that list. I mean, it's something like, I can't remember what it was, like 30 to like 40 of the 50 already. You couldn't even imagine being on a list of people you should know because everyone already kind of knows who they exist. And it is, I think anyone who really follows the scene, both going out to shows and listening to podcasts and kind of hearing people who talk about people, they tend to know. I mean, I remember, like Shashir Zamata was a person everyone was like, she's going to be on SNL someday for the last 5 years. And then eventually she was. And you're like, yeah, I mean, like she was, I feel like since she was on a Harold team at UCB, people were like, she'll be on SNL someday. There's people in New York that just, I mean, it's people that there's some that you think maybe, and there's people that you're like, whatever it is, they know. Like, there's a comedian, Joe Firestone, in New York currently, who is, everyone knows there'll be something. It's hard to know what it is because she's such a specific person, but something will happen because she is so specific, and unlike really kind of anything we see in New York, and works so hard to do so many different types of things.
See, that's what I was thinking. I don't think that we could do that if we did it with actors. I don't think if we could do it if we went around and looked at bands and say who's going to be here. But I think you can pick it pretty strongly in comedy,
because so much of that has to do with their like initial voice. Like, what is that voice that they have? Where an actor, you could say that person might have a spark of something, but then they could hone their craft and get better. I think that with comedy, obviously you get better with time, but there is that just like, that's their unique voice.
But look at Dan Soder. He can walk onto Billions, play with those guys who are hardcore actors, and he hasn't put a lot of thought into acting. And he's not doing a funny character, you know what I mean? And yet, whatever that essence is there's a lot of confidence that probably comes from standing on that stage alone after a while.
Yeah, I mean, doing stand-up is a very bizarre thing that people that they do, and they keep on, and I think it also makes you have a really clear sense of the way you talk and the way you present yourself, and especially if you're not doing like big characters. I think if you're playing somewhere in the realm of yourself, comedians are incredibly good at that. As we keep on seeing, the type of show, which is like a comedian playing a version of themselves, there's now like 15 of those. And for the most part, it doesn't seem like as including the Maria Bamford show, Maria doesn't really, I don't think, has an acting background, but you're like, oh, this is great.
It's terrific.
Or like Tig Notaro's show, like Tig doesn't really have an acting background, but that show was great. Louis opened the floodgates, and I remember when Louis came out, everyone's like, oh, I want a Louis show, and everyone's like, oh, no one can handle that. And then for the most part, it seems like a lot of people can.
You might just need a little more help than he had, but all right, here's one for you, though. And you had him at Vulture Fest, is Trevor Noah, who, if you meet him and if you see him, is better than his show.
Yes.
And when people say to me, oh, I can't stand what they're I go, maybe they don't have the show. Like, But that guy's like royalty.
Yeah.
When you meet him.
I'll say, I mean, I've met him once.
Yeah.
I'll say this, like, he's gorgeous. Like, if you meet him in person, you're
Right.
like, you should be on television. And then he spoke it, and I only caught a little bit, but he is so, you're asked questions, and you shouldn't be able to have, like, what seemingly feels like prepared answers.
Yeah.
And, he was brought up, they brought up that whole Blake Lively kind of non-controversy. And he had such a well thought of, thoroughly executed comedic take on this thing. And it wasn't, he was doing it in he wasn't doing hard jokes, but and like the show needs to be that. And I don't think the show has figured out how to catch up to it. I mean, my thing with the Daily Show is, people are comparing it to what they think of as the best version of the Daily Show, not even what they're not when John was leaving, the show was already not kind of working as well.
Yeah.
And I think John would probably admit that. So, but no one was watching it as much that time. So people were like, I don't know why he's not as good as John from the middle of the Bush administration. So the show itself also has to figure out what those jokes are. And you look over late night, some people get it immediately. I think Samantha Bee's show, for some reason, she came out of the gate and the perspective was 100% clear. And it felt vital. And it's like my favorite new show on television. Every week, it feels so essential to like my life, just because the news is now so toxic that it really helps us kind of purge that of the week. But, you look at Seth Meyers, which people were like nonstop talking about how bad his show was, or just like how not fun it was or whatever. And then he started sitting down doing the monologue and he had a little bit more fun with it. And you just had more time with it. And next, you have all these articles. It's like, oh, Seth Meyers is next Jon Stewart. It just, for whatever reason, that's a weird job that takes a long time.
But I think for Seth, he had Lorne Michaels, who doesn't panic. If Conan would have stayed with Lorne Michaels, he'd still have the Tonight Show. So that's the kind of people that are needed. Where it feels like Comedy Central is in a little bit of a panic. I don't think they've done the best job with Larry Wilmore. I met him. I find him to be much funnier and much more charismatic when he walks in here than when they've stiffened him up in that studio.
Also, I hate panels. I feel like a panel is a very weird way to have structured that show.
Yeah.
Especially in that one, which I think the hope is that they're supposed to have like free-flowing discussion, but for the most part, it's like, they all just do a joke in a row and then they move to the next subject.
Yeah.
I think maybe they were trying to do like a clearer version of Tough Crowd or something. But the thing that was Tough Crowd was it wasn't everyone doing just prepared jokes.
No, it was the fact that
conversational.
and a lot of them shit the bed, and that was great. Where if you watch At Midnight, everybody's got a print, and you're like, why are we doing it? I know these people are thinking of that.
Yeah, well, At Midnight's fun. It's just like comedians doing the hackiest material that they It's like they work so hard, and now it's like, okay, let's do puns for half an hour. And I love puns, but it's such a silly.
But they're all alt comics is what kills me.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing is that you have to sit there and watch somebody who is not a punny comedian. It's there's something about that that just doesn't make sense.
And the old Hollywood Squares, they would only give the jokes to Paul Lynde, right?
Yeah.
But once they gave the jokes to everybody, the show immediately sucked because you're like, all right, none of this is real, And that's how I feel about that show. Like, no one's thinking these. There's not a joke that falls.
Well, I think they just edit it down. I imagine, I think I think at least I've only watched the full broadcast so many times because it is so, I find it so, I don't mind it existing, I just find it so silly. You'll see the score just jumping up and down because they just are editing it together. It's possible they shoot for 3 hours and they just edit together like 30 seconds of them nailing those puns in a row, or that they all like get to think about them for 5 minutes beforehand. That's like, Iron Chef is actually shot over 2 hours, but they only show that like the first hour where they're like trying and then they just cook it all over again. I imagine it's like that where they're giving them a lot of time to like write out a bunch of puns about it. But it's also, it's like, these are people who've been doing comedy for like 20 years. I think they can like come up with 10 puns in like 5 minutes.
So we were talking about vulture.com and you guys feel like you have that voice. Is there anyone in comedy who does well that you guys just wouldn't write about? Does something come up about somebody and you go, well, you know what? They're just not for us.
I think there are comedians that, especially because a lot of it's going through me, there's a certain level of like what my tastes are that I don't think the site represents. Also just because, if I have to write something, if I can't think, like if they're not my taste, it's hard for me to think of something interesting to say. When we do have the series called Comics Talking to Comics, where the comedians pick, and how those work is, usually it happens the publicists will pitch at people because that's what publicists' jobs do, and they know their products. I think a lot of these, like Netflix and all these sites, aren't great at telling me how far ahead of time these things are coming. But so the comedians will pitch, the publicists will pitch a comedian, and I'll be like, okay, have them pick 5 people that they might want to talk to, and it completely ranges. And then based on that, then I'll kind of pick people I think are vulture friendly. But through that, we have good representation. Like I think Dan Soder's good, but he's not necessarily my cup of tea. But we're able to get him on site through that. There's certain comedians that have done things that I found offensive, and I hold it against them maybe more than I should, and they haven't necessarily proved they're so worthy that I need to bend over backwards for them. And I will revisit and I'll see these people. I remember like when I can't even remember the story, but that Ari Shaffir thing where he went after that one comedian with like one arm or something. And I remember that time that I felt that was not necessarily what we wanted to kind of align ourselves with. And I've seen Ari since, and I think he's a good comedian. But there's so many comedians out time that I at the time I wasn't super like, let's pop up that special. But I would revisit. I think it's like anything, like when Trevor Noah, everyone was mad about the tweets he did 4 years ago. Yeah. And I think his answer was like, I wouldn't tweet those today, and that's progress, is fine. I think comedians change. I think it's an art form that reflects where you are at the time and where society is at the time. And, especially people that will say it's like the audience is the judge. So if they can tell a thing and the audience isn't offended, then their audience is correct. And so I do think that's a fair assessment generally. And I think as a result, comedians have probably move along with the times because audiences necessarily reflect what kind of the public discourse is. But I think by nature, I don't have comedians that are in that area, just because I also don't, comedians that are doing kind of playing with offensive material to kind of shock audiences. I don't think they're disvalued as comedians, or they're not good craftsmen of the work. I just don't particularly find that interesting. I think if you're doing shocking sort of comedy to an audience that is expecting it, then you're not necessarily actually doing anything that's shocking. So I think that's it. I try to admit that I tend to have like alt-ear taste, and that's just the nature of it. And I think it's partly because I think in alt rooms the art moves forward more. I think you need to do clubs for the craft of the job. I think a comedian's job is to entertain an audience, but comedy is also an art form, and I think you need to have the freedom to do things that you don't know how to work. And I think like a Comedy Cellar audience doesn't want you to do too much of it. And I think by the time you're there, you should be doing like a good job and, working on specific jokes. But in terms of, pushing your voice or doing weirder things, I respond to that a little bit more. Partly also like you see so much comedy, it's sometimes hard to respond to just people doing like
good craftsmen. Yeah. After a while, you're like, yes, and
yeah, but I respect them truly. I mean, like when I got a fake ID in high school, I mostly used it to go to the Comedy Cellar. But now it's just like when you see that a lot, you just want to see a person who, and it's not for everyone because you're like doing comedy a little bit that's making fun of comedy. Yeah. But when I do a list of the best specials of the list, I try to take into consideration both comedy as a job and as a craft in terms of like, and it's also people that are pushing the medium forward.
Well, Gary's last special was so precise, and you could look at him and go, all right, so that kind of fits in with Seinfeld, Brian Regan. But then as you're watching it, you're like, it's just written so well and so smart. And then I think it was the following week, Ali Wong had done a special, and I'd never seen anybody come from that direction before. I thought it was one of the best, that you could put it up there with one of the all-time best. But what's surprising is the small amount of shelf life the specials have,
That is a thing that I'm trying to figure out the angle on, but I want to write a piece about. then everyone gets to do specials now,
Right.
whenever they want to do a special. And they just have a list of different places. Netflix is doing like one like every other week. It feels like
it's crazy.
And
right?
then and then Comedy Central still has their probably I don't know how many, probably 10 or so a year they do. And then CISO is doing like one a month. And then everyone has albums. So like no matter what, like there's like dozens. And I think there was that Chris Rock thing where he told Michael Che like no one's doing specials. They're doing I can't remember what but like they're not special anymore. Everyone's just doing. Yeah. Louis, God bless him, but he kind of created a pace that everyone thinks they should be doing, which is not a pace that everyone should be doing.
No.
And you're not seeing people's best work. You're seeing the work of the last 2 years, which is a fine thing, but it is, you see people that work 4 years on a thing. Gulman works 4 years on a thing. When Mike Birbiglia releases a thing, it's because he's worked on it forever. And it feels that way. When I see people live, I appreciate it feeling loose sometimes because you can feel like they're not just rehearsing it. But when it's recorded, you should imagine like this is the best that they can do in this frame of reference and not.
I've thought of that with like Elvis Costello. I'm like, if you would have just put out an album every 2-3 years, you're up against the Beatles. Yeah. But since you decided in 5 albums in 2 years, it got past people. But the songs are there.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. Dude, this is fascinating. I got to bring you back in.
I appreciate it. It's great. I love talking about this.
Again, because, there's very few people that are thinking about it this much.
Yeah.
And as I said, the great thing about Vulture Fest over the weekend is that was all these things that you kind of start to feel like if you like this comedian, you also probably like this other TV show and this band. And that's where I think Vulture is, although I don't know whether to do the math on it. I don't know exactly how that works.
It's a matter of just having people that have been there long enough that know it. I mean, I know when I applied to work at Vulture, it was the only place I ever wanted to work. And I told them that because I was reading it every day. I was a Vulture commenter before I was a person that works there. And I've been there for almost 4 years. And my belief in the types of things that we cover in our interests is so strong. And I think I have a sense of it. And we hire people that know it. It's hard for people who don't understand it, they don't understand it. But people who are in our site get it. But we get every new hire. Your hope is that you kind of push it a little bit in certain directions, shows that we might not have covered because there's so many shows now. There's so many movies now. You just keep on growing, but it's still people that those core sensibilities were, I think it started when we first started, it felt like we were the site that cared about Mad Men and 30 Rock. Like it were the two greatest things that our Western culture has put out in history. Right. So, and I think that holds up and you start with that and then you just kind of grow out there. From 30 Rock, it was like whatever Happy Endings was. And I think because of that 30 Rock interest, and you have Happy Endings, like I've written so many things about just the jokes in Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, but we have an audience who wants to read, me write thousands of words. I mean, I did like a 4,000 word interview with the writers of Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt about just joke writing, really kind of granular mechanics of joke writing and like the process of it. And I had no doubt that was a waste of time because I knew the audience would be really interested. Or I'll talk to Mike O'Brien in a piece that's going to come out soon about his those trailers for those biopics he does, like he did that Oprah one. And we just talked about, SNL does a few of these, and there's a sketch trick where you do kind of a third beat where you undercut the entire premise, where you have like a movie trailer, and then in the third beat you'll have like, and the critic says, "What is this?" Right? That's like a classic sketch writing beat we talked about that for 15 minutes. Why SNL does do it or why it doesn't do it. He said Lauren doesn't like that, but it always works to an audience. And what is that? And that is a thing that 10 years ago no one was doing because no one thought people would have that granular of an interest. And now I've been doing it for 3 years, and I'm like, there's almost you can't be more specific than that. People will anything as specific as you can get for why people are doing the things they're doing. Our readers and our growing readers, as we keep on doing to more types of shows and medium, are like so excited, eating it all up. And it's been, as a person who was that person their entire life, it's like really nice to be at a place where you feel like you're heard and you kind of share the interest with the reader.
Jesse David Fox, senior editor at vulture.com. Great to meet you, buddy.
Yeah, you as well.
Let's do this again soon. That was Jesse David Fox. He's the senior editor at Vulture, and you can read all of his work at vulture.com. He's got a piece coming out next week on Lonely Island at Jesse David Fox on the Twitter tweets. What tune was that when you were playing, Chris?
That was the theme from Happy Endings.
Never saw Happy Endings.
I never saw Happy Endings, and he seems so excited about their reunion.
I know. Well, it's an Adam Paley. Is that his name, Adam Paley?
Yeah.
And, he's one of those guys, you see him in a ton of stuff. He's in something with TJ Miller right now that's on demand. I forget what it's called. It's called Search Party is the name of it. Because I keep thinking, do I want to see Search Party or Save TJ for something else? But he's, I don't want to say hipster, but he's one of the guys of this era.
But I always feel like I'm left out when somebody has a cool show that nobody's watching, but I'm watching, that kind of thing.
I'm left out all the time.
I remember there was a time I felt that way about Arrested Development, and then everyone caught up.
Arrested Development, not good people. They're bad people. Arrested Development. We're not going to get them. They're not good. I'm only saying that because I see Trump with his hat on TV. That underneath thing that we were talking about the other day is my favorite thing. Yesterday, I was like, maybe I'll come back here. New Mexico, you don't have a good governor. This is not a good person. It's a bad governor. Maybe I'll come back here and run for governor, but she's bad. She's doing a bad job. Like, how's that anything?
We don't like her. She's not a nice person, and she has nothing good to say.
Can I see the happy endings on the Netflix? Netflix show?
It's on Netflix, no.
So how am I supposed to catch up?
How are we going to hip ourselves to this happy ending thing that's already over?
DVDs?
Who has those?
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I don't have a DVD. The only DVDs I have, I give out. Now I've been told it's the Hulu. The Hulu has it. You get it from the Hulu. That's a big thing, Hulu. We're going to get everybody's going to get a Hulu.
It's very nice. We like it.
It's fantastic. It's amazing. It's the best. It's the Hulu.
I'm friends with the people at Hulu. They treat me very nice.
All my friends are saying to me, you got any more Hulu? It's so good. Yeah, good. Good stuff there. Amazing. Good stuff. We'll get them all. We'll get them all for everybody. I was saying a thing about Donald Trump, and they were saying that a bunch of celebrities wanted to go to his party, but they all worried about their career. And I don't know whether you can't say something like that without proving it, and they didn't give any name. Because I know, different right-wing guys have no problem, still getting work. Jimmy Woods. Well, that's it. Just Jimmy Woods.
Right.
No, it's also the Midnight Cowboy.
Yeah.
Peter Fonda.
Why would Peter Fonda be a Midnight Cowboy?
Good point.
He was an easy rider. John Voight. John Voight is a good guy. The John Voight. Maybe he'll be my VP.
Those are the only two that came to mind. I know there's a couple.
Kid Rock, Ted Nugent. I mean, people that are kind of untouchable, that don't go around and ask people for work. Chachi, who doesn't work.
Right.
He's still got that Chachi money. You know how much he was getting paid back then?
How much?
$2.5 billion a year.
What the hell?
What?
Yeah. That's good money.
Yeah.
Well, he was doing Happy Days and Joni Loves Chachi. He had them both going.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So we're getting ready to wrap this one up. We're going to take a couple days off, but we're back Tuesday. We've got the Martin Short town hall coming up, but we won't be playing that till later. Later in the week or later some other time.
Yeah, I think
I don't know when all these things play.
I think later in the week, maybe.
Later in the day. Yeah.
Oh, we'll play it right away.
Same day, Tuesday.
Great, you'll hear it Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
Never on a Tuesday, a Tuesday, a Tuesday. We got so many things coming up.
I know.
Little trips coming up. This is going to be what I like to call traveling summer.
Yeah.
And we're going to be on my planes, trains, and automobiles.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the trains most of all.
I think automobiles. I've never been in one, and they seem exciting.
Never?
No. And I watched the IndyCar races, and it looks so fun. You know, I got to get an automobile helmet so I can be going in that.
I'd like to take a nice sleeper car trip on a train.
I've never done that.
I've always wanted to do it. We talked about that. There's one that's just like the north. It's not the Northwest, or it goes.
It goes from like Minnesota to the Northwest, and you go up, and then they treat it like a cruise ship, and it stops in Montana, and you can get out and shop, and then you're back on your cruise trip train. But Stanhope says that anytime that he does it, he'll take a train. But he'll get the sleeper.
I think
the sleeper is a tight move, though.
Yeah, I think if you're claustrophobic, it would not be a good feeling. I'm not, because I like to cozy into a little.
Right. Well, you like to put a box on your head before you go to sleep.
I do.
Very tight box. My favorite movie is The Man in the Iron Mask, and that's the only way that I can sleep is to be welded into a mask.
I usually sleep in a hat.
Do you really?
Yeah, I sleep in a hat.
Like a nightcap?
Well, not like similar to a nightcap, but it's just an oversized beanie, but it has the same feeling of a nightcap. Like, obviously, in the heat of the summer, I won't sleep with it, but I would say a good 75% of the year I'm sleeping with a hat on.
Mostly the homeless who do that.
She sleeps at a derby.
It's very, and like, I'll pull it down over my eyes and my ears. It's very comfortable to me. Is that weird?
That's very strange, yeah.
I know a very famous comedian that slept. He put a pillow around his head and then tied a belt around that pillow, and he slept that way.
There's something about that seems comforting to me.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Oh, it sounds horrible.
I've been haunted about it ever since.
You saw it in action?
Yeah, well, because we were sharing a condo. And he came out in the morning, and he had a big red mark on his forehead where the buckle had been.
Holy shit!
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Oh my god, that's crazy!
That's crazy. We're not going to do that in this campaign. It's crazy. Everybody will sleep without a buckle. You know, suspenders around your head. That's the way to sleep. That's how we're going to do it. So, Chris, a couple days off. Fabulous best ofs.
Oh, yeah. Strong best ofs.
And I know you're letting Joey pick it out, right?
Yep. This is a Joey production.
And Joey's a dope when it comes to having a comedic palate. I mean, he's just a moron, you know?
That makes this extra exciting. These are Joey's picks.
Normally, whoever we let pick tends to make it a little bit of them-centric.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, and it's happened my entire career.
This is another Chris segment, Ron. You guys are going to love it.
And it won't mean that it's like, it makes that person look good. It's just like they're centric about them.
They're heavily featured.
Yeah.
It's not that they had a great day and they got a few good jokes in.
This is why actors shouldn't direct and edit, you know? Because it's just about their close-ups if that happens.
Right. Do we need any other shots than my close-ups?
Did you ever see the movie Garden State?
I have seen Garden State.
Well, there's a scene where, I don't know, there's a major breakthrough between him and the pretty girl that he's starring in the movie with.
Natalie Portman.
And they're in the rain, and they kiss, and then they hug in the rain. And then the shot, he has taken her tiny head and shoved it backstage, basically. And this close-up comes on just his face, and he's like this. And I'm sorry, he's a nice guy. I've had him on Unmasked, but he looks like Ray Romano, and he's got one of the prettiest girls, pinup girls in the world, and he puts the close-up on it, and not another director alive would have done that.
Right. Nobody would say, let's just see the male's perspective on the moment he falls in love. Don't worry about her.
No, don't worry. Stuck her under your wing. Just put her down in your armpit. You're the pretty one.
I'm feeling everything.
Yeah. So that's the... and I don't want to make a big deal because I know Joey's been going through a lot. And I'll just say it fast. He is one of the people that's named in this Bill Cosby case. So,
oh, my God.
Yeah.
I thought that he was acting a little weird.
Here's the problem with him, though. It happened 2 weeks ago with him. I mean, the word was out.
I know. It seems like he would really...
He drove down there. He drove to Norristown, you know? I mean, he rented a car to go to Cosby's. So, I mean, who's the, you know?
Yeah, I
don't want to say anything.
You still got to have street smarts.
Yeah, or any smarts, you know? I'd like to see him even have dumb smarts. Well, whatever. You know, live and let live. That's my motto. All right. Well, we got to get going. Enjoy the best of. At the very least, it'll be a rest of. Tuesday, we're back with Martin Short and more. But Gail, enjoy yourself. Chris,
Thanks.
Enjoy yourself.
I think I will.
But enjoy yourself and when you get in here and clean out the office for the next few days.
Okay.
I want you to spend 3 hard days scrubbing.
All right, I'll get to it.
Inspection when I get back. That'll be the fun part. When I get back, there'll be an inspection.
Okay.
All right. Now, leave me a map so I know how to get to our office. I know it's upstairs somewhere. I was talking to Jack yesterday, and I said, "Do you know where my our office is?" And he goes, "I don't know where it is, but I've smelt it."
Okay.
Oh my God! See, now that's why you got to get cleaning.
So God bless you all, and we'll see you again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening!